Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 279. Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V, here 2020.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Can we get them all out of the way?
Get them, please.
No, I'm done.
Get at it.
That's it.
It was a few hours after New Year's, and I already
We're done with them.
called for all of the 2020 puns, jokes, whatever you want to call them, references.
I think this is a new and improved podcast in 2020. I think we're going to try to keep it under 4 hours.
I'll check the show notes, but I don't know if that's really going to happen or not. But it might. And believe it or not, we did get a few requests. I've had a handful of people reach out and say, hey, when are you guys going live again? I've got long drives coming up. I've got, trips to work, those types of things. And they are good with the long format. So welcome again, everyone. Yes, we're in the new year. First one of 2020. And it's about as late as we could get, being already the 7th. And 2 weeks off is not something that
we've ever done before.
Yeah, probably not. Not 2 back-to-back weeks, just with the way New Year's and, Christmas Eve fell this year. So, hopefully it's going to be like another 400 years before that happens again.
I sure hope so, because I missed this.
Yeah, okay. Well,
You came in. What do you notice? The studio?
Studio is a little bit more picked up, although there's not a lot of requirements here for our studio. Everything we need is always pretty much in position, and we're good to go. This is also a little bit of the storage and living quarters kind of for...
It's my basement. You can say it. It's my finished basement that we're in.
For Johnny V's house, and things are a little bit more organized, but none of that really impacted me or the show. But
no, but it's just nicer, because I was thinking, in case we may have a guest,
a live studio
audience, a guest, we have a little bit more room now. There's not just a bunch of stuff lying around. I slightly reorganized all of our equipment, kind of got that in order over the last 2 weeks. It is 2020. It's the year of improvements.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Not in front of the camera, behind the camera.
I still make no promises there, but we are, again, super glad you guys could join us. We're going to have Dustin and Hannah join us tonight. They're going to give us some Eagles Wings updates. I believe they're talking about the Junior Grant Program, something that we have heavily endorsed, promoted, advocated for, and tried to shout from the mountaintops these last few years the good work that they're doing over there for the Junior Grant Program. And I'm not even going to guess what's all involved, because I'll probably be wrong. So in just a few minutes, we'll have them and be able to catch up with them and get all of the questions that we need and the requirements, so that hopefully some juniors can benefit from that great program. And then I believe we're going to have the Discraft team captain and man sitting on the injured reserve list as of still, if that's a thing, Paul Ulibarri. He had reached out shortly before the show, asked if we needed a guest. I said, why? Who's staying with you? Could we bring him in?
I mean, he's the team captain. Shouldn't he be lining up players to do interviews?
No, he wants it. He wants it. He wants to take it.
Oh.
So we're going to have Uli. He's going to join us tonight. We are super excited to catch up with him. He's a semi-regular in our after show, but tonight we'll have him on in the regular show and see what happens. So do we want to start with any news, or do we want to try and get right over to Eagles Wings? What are you thinking, Johnny?
We could get right over to Eagles Wings. I'm okay with that.
All right. Well, Dustin.
I mean, we haven't been here for 2 weeks, but there hasn't been a lot of news.
No, there has been some
player movement, just a little bit here and there. Some players leaving their sponsors, some players being picked up.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that then probably after we talk with Dustin and Hannah. I'll say most notably, or maybe most recently is a better even term, I saw Dustin Keegan joining the ranks of Team Discmania. Also, I think I saw one of our contributors, our show contributors, Dana Vici, at least take it to Facebook and say that he was stepping down from being a sponsored team member, but still working at Discmania and doing his role there, but not necessarily in a team member slot. So
I think, and I'm sure we'll talk to Dana at some point in the next week or two, that he's just like us. He's not touring as much. He's got disc golf behind the scenes going on. So why not free that space up for a player who can actually participate in events more frequently than him? That was my understanding of his move.
Well, in the meantime, please go out, like, and share. Things are a little light right now. Hopefully we get the crowd all on board, excited to go here for our new year. But hit the little notification bell thing. We never tell anyone to really like or subscribe, but we probably should tell you to do that. All the kids on YouTube are doing it, so.
No, actually, the kids aren't anymore.
No, I guess not.
Did you see that YouTube news that if the YouTube has a new thing for children that saying if your video is meant specifically for children, and we're not not the children that watch this, not the grown-ups who act like children, that they no longer will have that subscribe bell or the subscription thing. You can't. They're taking it away as well as specifically focused ads.
Yeah, targeted ads.
Targeted ads. So some interesting stuff. So if you're out there,
why are they taking away the subscription notification?
To disincentivize them,
kids from always sitting on it.
Them from pushing subscriptions.
Huh.
They don't feel like kids' content should have that.
Interesting. Oh, my kids are going to have to rethink their entire business plan then for their vlog and their channels.
More than likely.
All right. Well, I've just officially notified Dustin that if he's ready, he can hit us up on the Skypes, and then we'll get him to join us, him and Hannah to join us. Also, just before we got started, we saw Tyler Brickley over at Comedy Disc Golf. I believe he is playing a video game. And a disc golf video game, that is, and he's streaming it live. I know that it's the is it the Alpha by 3 Industries?
Yeah, it's the UDG. I think it's Ultimate
UDG?
Disc Golf.
Okay.
Alpha. The Alpha is the phase of the game.
UDG Alpha by. Okay.
And they're still in their alpha mode, so they're just kind of pushing it out to a few people here and there, so everyone can get a little bit of.
People can see what's going on.
Just see what's going on for things like that.
All right. Well, we see that, or we at least hear them, and it looks like they're getting ready in just a moment. Yeah, I think we can get right to it. Coming in fresh out of our Disc Baron digital green room, Hannah and Dustin of Eagles Wings. How you guys doing tonight?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're great.
We are great. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
What are any big changes? Anything amazing or out of this world that no one saw coming for 2020 out of you two?
Good question. I don't know that I don't know anything out of this world coming from us at this point.
No, I don't think so.
Fortunately.
Well, it's early. It's early.
And that could be good.
Give us time.
No, that could be good. Sometimes just maintaining and keeping the pace, having a focused goal from whether it takes you a couple years or a couple months, that's a good thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, right now we're preparing. We came on to talk about the junior grant, but we're also preparing for another trip to Zambia. So that's big, but our 3rd time there, so not out of this world, but we are really excited, looking forward to that. So got a lot going, but a lot of the, continued things that we've done in past years.
All right. So not that we believe in structure here, but if we had a little bullet list, let's talk junior grant, then let's talk a little bit about Zambia, and then let's talk a little bit about where else we'll see the two of you. Is that kind of a logical order?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Awesome. All right. So as we've said, the last few years, you guys have talked about the junior grant program, what people need to do to qualify, how many, where they, all the things that that are required, and then what comes as part of winning that and participating in it. So what's the 2020 version?
Yeah, so we're really excited. This will be the 4th year that we've offered it, and we are again partnering with Kids Disc Golf and Nate and Val, which is huge to make that happen. They, without them, we couldn't keep it up at this pace. So we're really excited about having them together. They're kind of just all in, whatever we want to do. And we've talked a lot about, do we make it bigger or crazier? But we've decided to keep it, another 6 winners this year. And we've just made some small changes. We feel like, kind of like what Johnny said, we want to keep it going. We want to keep it manageable, sustainable. So we do have a few new sponsors, which we're excited about. So this year, Foundation Disc Golf is coming on, and they're going to be giving $50 gift cards to each winner, which I think everybody will enjoy. They have a lot of cool releases and things like that that the kids will be able to pick up. And the PDGA is actually our newest sponsor. They just let us know today they're going to do 2021 memberships. So most of the kids probably already have their membership for this year, but they'll get a free membership for the following year. And then also Jomez Pro is going to give them some cool stuff from their store. I think they're going to get some hats and socks from Jomez Pro. And then this year, Innova, on top of giving the VIP card, is also giving like some desktop targets they're creating custom. And DD, in addition to the disc that they sell for the kids and give to the kids, the Dymax ones, they're going to do a warehouse tour by one of their sponsored pros, which I think will be a really cool touch for the kids. So the rest of the sponsors, always want to read this off so I don't forget anything. But so we'll pay for the entry fee to either Junior Worlds or USJDGC. They'll get travel money, at least $100. And really cool thing, one of our grant winners from 2018, Wyatt Mahoney, was won Worlds twice now, I believe. Just a great player, beats adults all the time when he plays against them. Really fun kid to watch. He, for the second year in a row, let us know that he wants to donate $25 per person out of his own pocket, his mom says. So he's coming up with his money himself, probably winning it at disc golf, and he's going to pass that on to other junior grant winners. So really cool deal there. And then we'll do a grant winner dinner at Junior Worlds. Thanks to Nate and Val, they'll get a pair of Keens. They'll get a Nate Tour Series disc, a Val Tour Series disc, the Dymac discs from Dynamic, which Dynamic will also sell on their behalf. They'll get a custom jersey from Paragon. They'll get a pack from Whale Pants, compliments of Eric and Tina, a kid's disc golf pack. Again, Innova's given the VIP cards and the custom desktop targets, PDGA with the membership, an online lesson with Will Schustrick via disc golf instruction, and Upper Park will give them a pinch bag again, a subscription to UDisc Pro for the year, and as we said, Foundation and Jomez are coming on to give their new prizes, and then also they'll do a video conference call with Paige Shu now. So she did that last year with the kids after winning Worlds, and they really enjoyed it. So she agreed to come back and do that again. So those are all the things that the kids will get if they're selected. And like I said, we'll select 6 winners, and we open applications tomorrow. And one more new thing for this year is we're going to allow them to do video applications. It's one of the things parents asked a lot about last year. Some of the younger kids trouble writing essays and things like that. So you can create a video this year, and that would be another way to enter. You can still fill out the essays. So basically what we're looking for is, their goals for the season, why they think they should win the grant, and most importantly, a project that they come up with that they'll do for the disc golf community that's service related, that they plan to carry out for the year. So that's a big determining factor. And then also we ask them to get a local PDGA member that can recommend them as well.
Okay.
Wow. I feel left out, Terry.
Yeah, we're just like Ken Climo and all these big contracts he's missing out on by peaking too early. You and I are just too old to apply for this. Is that why you're left out?
No, I feel left out from the sponsorship. I feel like we should find something to make sure to get to the Eagles Wings and the junior grant winners.
All right, I'm good with that.
We're gonna find something and count on SmashBoxx for something. Terry and I will talk a little bit once this is over, and we'll figure it out. But I want to be part of that list.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. We do already have you on the website, just so you know, since you've been promoting it long term, and we always recognize you in that list. But yeah, if you want to give them some cool SmashBoxx stuff, that would be fantastic. I'm sure they love that.
Yeah, we'll definitely come up with something. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm looking at like an old, hard drive, maybe. No, okay.
Nice.
No.
Yeah.
We'll
sunglasses. I have some old sunglasses from the 90s that I think would be perfect.
Yeah, no, we
Yes.
we'll find something
Retro
current
Zen.
that hopefully they'll enjoy. And that goes hand in hand with the idea that we're going to be doing a little bit more promotional type stuff this year, and we'll find
Certainly. something
that will fit into the appropriate hands and category for you guys. So awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
When you're talking with some of these potential sponsors, and most of those names you mentioned aren't new, they've been on board now for a couple years. Where does that conversation either initiate or how does it go with the excitement level for what you guys are doing, and then when people want to get on board? I mean, how does that conversation normally go for you guys?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, one of the things that we like about the grant is bringing, the companies together in a way that's not really about like what they're getting out of it necessarily, and just kind of working together to do something cool in the disc golf community. So we make those conversations really low pressure. Nate and Eagles Wings and Kids Disc Golf have committed to take care of the financial piece. And again, Nate and Val's gifts each year are huge help, go a long way. We won't be able to do it without that, but we've committed to do that. So we're not asking for money. We just say, hey, if you want to be part of this, just whatever you want to give, and we just leave it at that. And I don't think we've ever had anybody that has said no when we've approached them. And most of the time, people are coming to us and saying, hey, can we get in and do something this year? So it's almost to the point of like, I don't know if we can add too many more because I wouldn't be able to list them all on one of your episodes, or getting all the stuff together and actually getting it to the kids is like the biggest challenge at this point. So everybody's really generous and gracious and, wanting to be involved. And again, I think it helps that we're not, doing, massive dollar amount things, but everybody's coming together to make it a really cool experience for the kids. So I think going forward, we want to continue. Like this year, we added the tour of the warehouse with one of the touring pros, and last year we added the video call with Paige. We want to do, more experiential type things going forward as well. So there's people out there, that want to do something like that. We would love to, add those types of things for the kids, because we really want to, reward them for all the hard work and things that they do on and off the course, because it really has been an awesome group of kids.
Yeah, because we've already got people on the board asking, how do I donate? I don't know if there's is there a good place to contact you if somebody personally has a company or anything that wants to reach out to you?
Yes, certainly. We would always be up to, we say we would give a minimum of $100 per person in like travel expenses, and that's always a huge thing for parents to like get their families to Junior Worlds, or I think we'd have a lot more families competing, or like kids competing at these events, if it wasn't so expensive to get the whole family there. So yeah, we would love to add to that travel total, like Wyatt's gift just adds on to what we were already planning on doing. So so people can just contact us at info@eagleswingsdiscgolf.org, or send us a Facebook message on our Facebook account or Instagram message, and I'd be happy to talk with them about that.
Awesome. Yeah, and so let me back up and ask, you have 6 winners. How many applicants do you typically have? And I'm sure it's growing.
So I was just looking at that before we came on. The first year we had 32, and then we went up to 44, and then last year we had our most at 54. So, it continues to increase, and it's not like an easy application process. We really want them to like put some time and thought into it. So it's not just like I'm throwing my name on in 5 minutes. So, not everybody's going to apply, and, it is limited to people that are planning on going to either Junior Worlds or USJDGC. And that comes from, Nate's original intention with the grant. So, but yeah, we're excited about that. But I think this year, our hope is to get, at least like 70, 80 applicants, because really anybody that's going is eligible. So there's no requirements, they don't have to, all they need to be doing is going and playing in that event.
Yeah, so those of you listening, if you guys know kids who are playing either Junior Worlds or USJDGC.
Nope.
Uh-oh, Hannah broke the internet.
She steps up and talks for the first time, and then
that we may or may not have them back. Okay.
Looks like you guys kind of cut out for a second there.
Hannah broke the internet.
All right, you're back.
All right. So you were saying that if we know of any kids that might be going or want to go, and that's where you cut out.
Yes, please just encourage that if you know any kids out there, people listening that are going to Junior World, USJDGC, please encourage them to apply. Just a little bit of encouragement sometimes will just get them kick-started to do that, and I think it's a good experience even just doing the application.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that. There's two parts that I'll add on. One, I always think about, my mother always used to say, go, even if it's a job you may not want, apply for it. Like, go to the interview, get that practice in. So that goes to exactly what you're saying. You may or may not feel like you have everything that you need there, but apply for it. Learn how to fill out the application. So that's a good. And then secondly, it's just, I think as part of Nate's vision for this is all about learning how to budget, learning about how to travel, the things that are needed, the preparation that it takes to go to a world championships. And Nate being a 15-year-old when he went to some of his first worlds, those were some of his experiences. And I think that's what kind of helped guide his input and influence on some of this, along with you guys, of course. But it's just incredible that we have to start thinking about these things. We have professionals that are, in their teens, mid to early teens. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that. And also just the learning to give back to the disc golf community and do service and things like that. I think it's a great way to get kids thinking along those lines and helping the sport.
So give us one pro tip as to maybe a red flag or an immediate toss out of the application. You get a lot of them, and it's probably a lot like job searching. You all of a sudden, when you read, the first paragraph and someone has 7 misspellings and they're an adult, you're like, okay, this guy doesn't know how to use spell check. Is there anything that you guys are like, all right, here's one thing to make sure you don't make this super easy or obvious mistake? Is there anything that disqualifies you right away?
I would say mostly, don't worry about it being overly polished necessarily. We just really want to see the intent of, what you're trying to do on a disc golf level, and also from a service standpoint, creativity and genuine service in what you're doing. So, it definitely is not about, and also want to point out too, that, we're not looking for potential world champions necessarily. That'd be great if you win worlds, but you don't have to. We're not looking for the best disc golfers. We're just looking to reward people that are trying to get there, are committed and playing. So I think one thing I would suggest is, this is a good skill to learn too. You talked about kind of some of the skills you can learn through this process, is figuring out a way to have humility in promoting yourself. I think that is one of the most helpful things. So I think, not making it overly polished where, it's did the parents write this or did the kids write this? And also, having some humility in describing what you're trying to do. And because again, we're really looking to reward people that kind of get it. They understand, how disc golf works and how the community works together, people that appreciate the hard work that goes into putting on the events, those types of things, which, I think it really comes through in certain applications for sure.
Perfect. Now, when I think about a lot of service projects, and I've worked with a number of these throughout course design and course improvements, there might be a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout that's working on a badge or an Eagle Scout project or whatever the case might be. That seems like that could tie in perfectly. Maybe they're already doing that, and that could also then tie into a qualifier for what you guys are looking for. Is that right?
Yes, for sure. Yeah, we've had some of our grant winners have done course designs or been part of course designs, or, a lot of our grant winners have done teaching clinics of Boy Scouts or their school or things like that. And another thing, just to kind of clarify, it's not necessarily a grow the sport thing. It's more of a give back to the sport. So one of the things that I personally like to see in those applications is, understanding here's a really hardworking TD in my area. He puts on 10 awesome events a year, and here's what I'm going to do to help him out, or, help one of his events, or get the course ready for him. Those types of things, I think go a long way in the application process versus, more kind of grow the sport initiatives.
Okay. Yeah. So someone could say, for instance, I'm helping coordinate every Wednesday at my league. I'm in charge of bringing the garbage bags, and we always try to make sure we have 2 garbage bags full of garbage every week or something, right? Like, it could really be almost anything that's an organized effort.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it doesn't have to be like super elaborate or difficult to pull off, but something where you're working, you're giving back. Yeah, that's a good example.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, again, all the parents, hopefully most of your kids are in bed. Mine probably aren't, but hopefully most of the kids around there, out there are in bed right now. But to the parents or your niece or your nephew or someone that's just getting involved, this is obviously a great opportunity to learn and practice and hone all those skills, as you guys just talked about, and be part of this. This is great. 4th year, you said, is there, and I know you just mentioned how tough it is with the quantity maybe of sponsors. Is there a concern about expanding or more or anything like that in the future years? Where do you see this going in the next few years, maybe, is a better question.
Yeah, good question. What I would really like to see, I think, is other similar type things pop up. I think maybe rewarding a different type of junior or something else, coming along with it. I think that would be a really cool thing. I think, again, our main concern is like sustainability, keeping it going and being able to maintain it and not get to the point where, we're like, everybody's just like, all right, well, we just got to shut it down. I think there's a lot of things in disc golf that, come and they happen for a year or 2 or 3, and then you don't see them anymore because it's just a lot of work. So, I think, we've talked about, having different tiers and rewarding more people, but I think at least for the foreseeable future, we just want to continue to make it happen, maybe involve a few more people. Like I said, add some more experiences to it, and just continue to reward, those hardworking juniors. And because the other thing we like to do too is we like to stay in touch with the old or the former grant winners. So each year we have a dinner with all of them. It's a really fun time. They get to hang out. They've kind of formed some friendships and bonds. So I think we'd like to invest more in that as well.
All right. And then just as an official clarification, so it's been put out there, age range is anyone that is eligible or looking to play in one of those 2 events, the U.S. Juniors event or the World Championships for juniors this year, again in Emporia, and the U.S. Juniors taking place at Maple Hill. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So if you're eligible for those 2 events, you're eligible to apply for this grant.
Yes, that is
okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
And so the application will go live tomorrow. So first thing, you can apply, and the application process goes through February 15th. So you have a month and a week to submit your application. No concern about getting in early, but certainly don't want to procrastinate and throw it together last minute either.
And then the judges, who consists of that panel?
Yeah, so we have one staff member that heads up the judges, and then we have just a group of people. It changes each year that are just representing different areas of the country and aren't on our staff. So Hannah and I are not judges. The rest of our staff, we try to make it as unbiased as possible. So they're all disc golfers, PDGA members, but we really try to make it as unbiased as we can. So it's usually a group of 5 to 7 people, and yeah, it's a very it's a difficult process. So we don't get a lot of people volunteering for it. We're usually twisting arms, but we got a good group of people that are volunteers for Eagles Wings, things like that do a good job with that.
Yeah, well, and reading through 70 plus applications, has continued to put a little more work on you guys, but that's great with the growth, and that shows, I feel like, the overall success of this and the program, which is awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Anything else that we need to touch on with regards to that? We've got a deadline of February 15th. We've got an opening date of tomorrow for those who are listening live. That will be on the 8th of January. So like you said, almost 6 weeks to apply, 5 or 6 weeks. The age range we got covered, the 2 events, one of the 2 events that they're intending to go to. Anything else?
You can apply either on our website or Kids Disc Golf website, either one. And if you have questions, just reach out to Hannah or I or Matt Graham at Kids Disc Golf, and we can answer any questions for you. So, and feel free to ask questions in the application process for parents or kids. Happy to answer those along the way. But I think that covers everything.
Yeah, and then the final point that you touched on too, that there is an essay and an application online, but also I'm sure there's some guidelines to follow if somebody wants to submit a video application as well.
Correct. Yep, that's on the website, and then also in the application. And highly encourage you to do the video if that's good for you, but certainly optional as well.
Okay. Well, and it's great. I think that just proves the overall evolution, and it's of just where we're recognizing not just social media, but also that kids have different, everyone has a different suit in terms of what they're strongest with, or a different method, and someone who may struggle with some form of a written or online application as opposed to a video application. I mean, that's why I started a video blog, because I was like, I don't write. I'll get in front of a camera. That seems easier. And so everybody does things a little differently.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes sense.
Awesome. Okay. Well,
Zambia.
We'll continue to promote it. We'll put that out there in the next few days and make sure that we push for it, and hopefully we see at least 100 applicants.
All right. I like it.
Now, as if you guys don't put enough work and effort into that, overall, that tremendous program, you guys also traveled to Africa, Zambia, 3rd, 4th year for that as well?
Yeah, this will be our 3rd trip to Zambia. So really excited for that. That's coming up really quick. We're actually leaving February 1st for that. So less than a month, and taking a team of 12 with us and going back for year 2. This will be year 3 for the trip, but year 2 for the Zambia Open. So that's, we're excited about some of the developments in that.
So if somebody somehow isn't up to speed or they need a refresher, what exactly have you guys been doing over these last couple of years with regards to Zambia?
Well, yeah, we've taken 2 trips, like Dustin said. The first year we brought discs, portable baskets, equipment like that, and then we built a 9-hole course. And then the last year we turned it into an 18-hole course and ran their first PDGA tournament, and we brought more discs, and so it's really taken off. They play all the time, and in fact, last year we actually hired a guy to run their disc golf program at the community center. So he full-time is teaching disc golf in the community, maintaining that course, keeping it looking beautiful. He runs weekly tags for an adult weekly tags and a kids weekly tags every week. They run doubles, just like he runs kids tournaments. I mean, he's doing everything like that. And so he's been keeping it going real strong since we were there last. So we're excited to see what he's been up to. We expect to have a full field for the tournament at this point, which is amazing. I think we already have like 41 signed up, but we should get to 72 pretty easily. And things are really taking off there. We heard that somebody broke the course record. They shot a 42 not too long ago, a few weeks ago. So we need to make the course harder. I think 46 was the hot round when we were there by one of our team members, and that was a 10-13 rated round. Apparently some kid just shot a 42.
Wow.
A young guy.
That's awesome.
So one of the kids. So we have to make it harder when we get back. And other initiatives too. I can let Dustin talk about what else we're doing.
Yeah. So one of the things we want to do this year, because again, when we first went, no idea if it was going to be successful, if it would catch on, and it's just, blowing away all expectations. And so this year, they actually asked us to help figure out how to put in, more baskets that are more like, ones that you would see in the United States. So that is one of our big initiatives this year, to figure out how to transfer the baskets. If you haven't seen them, check our Facebook page. There's a lot of pictures. They're just, they're really cool looking, but they're not the best catching devices. But we're actually going to be bringing Chris Rodriguez is going with us. He's on our staff and also the owner of El Guapo Baskets. So he's actually bringing a basket that he's building specific for it, and maybe two, and then he's going to help train people how to kind of do the welding for that, and they're going to put those two together, and then hopefully kind of leave them with plans and a way to make their own kind of replicas of that. So we're going to start the process of getting them, new baskets. And initially, there was concern about baskets being stolen, people not knowing what it was. And there's such respect for the course and love for the course that's they've told us that's not really a concern at all anymore for them, that they haven't had issues with it, and that, it's so highly trafficked and people love playing it that, they, even if someone stole something, they're pretty sure that they would be turned in the community and that they would figure out who it is. So I'm really excited about that.
Great to hear. Now, when you're talking about leagues taking place, there are kids leagues, adult leagues, are we seeing a dozen, 2 dozen, 6 dozen people out there? Like, what kind of attendance is out there on a regular basis playing golf?
Yeah, so it's a unique situation. It's kind of like they have a bunch of kids that come to this community center every day after school, but it's not like a place where tons of people can get to. You're walking, and it's hard to travel there, and it's pretty remote. So they do a weekly tags league that I think they get anywhere between 15 and 30 people, which is adults. And then they teach kids every day. So every day they have, I think, between 40 and 100 kids that come to this community center, and they're training different ages each day. And then when they do kids tournaments, they get a ton of kids. Everybody shows up, and I think the last one they had, 50 or 60 kids come out to it. And the kids actually asked for kids tags. So we had some of those made up by Paragon and sent them over with the team recently. So now the kids have their own tags, and there's some girls tags over there now for the younger girls. And yeah, so they also recently ran a glow tournament. We did that when we were there, kind of introduced it, and they replicated that recently. And yeah, it seems like we don't, it's hard to communicate regularly on those types of things, but it seems like it's just really taking off. And the guy we hired started teaching in 2 different local schools. So people are starting to request him to come out outside of the course and teach. So yeah, just a lot of energy and enthusiasm around it.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it sounds like truly, planting a seed, and we're watering it and continuing to watch it all grow and blossom and flourish. I mean, it's awesome. If you want to talk about a grow the sport initiative,
quite literally.
I don't know if there's a better example of it. Now, is it true, like a lot of really remote countries and places, that even if somebody wanted to support, it's not as easy as just say, oh, hey, I'm going to ship over, a box of 25 used discs or something like that, that discs and equipment really are best when they're packed along with someone who's going to visit? Is that a good way to describe it?
Yeah, it'd be extremely expensive to get it there, and then also not really a guarantee if you put it in the mail that it's going to get there. Okay. So, so that's just been one of the advantages that we've had. We've continued to have people that, are traveling there. So we'll send stuff with non-disc golf teams or other people that are visiting that area. And so we haven't had issues with that. And last year we took maybe 200 discs and couple portables and then all the stuff for the tournament, and they were like, we need more. So this year we're taking as many discs as we can, and we just keep taking stuff over. Last year, one of the cool things was we went and we had gone there in 2016, then we took a couple years, and we went last year, and some of the discs that they were using, like there was this old DX like T-Bird that was just like dirt brown, and like they burned fields over there, so it had like two holes in it where it was like just burn marks, and they're just using this disc like it's like no issue, like it's normal thing. So like they use things till like they're can't be used anymore. But they're starting to get kids that are like, they said after we left last year, so one of the problems was like they keep all the equipment there. It's not like people take it and have their own. They pick it up right at the course, but kids are like hiding them around, under bushes and things like that. And they had to come up with a system to figure out how to keep track of everything. So we just want to keep sending so many things that it's not even an issue for them.
Yeah.
Someone's trying to hide the
best
pro
driver.
line, the best pro line, the Valkyrie that you guys have, or something like that. I could see that.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
So if somebody did want to contribute in that sense, whether they're new or use discs potentially, is that something that you guys have an address that they could get to you, and then you can kind of divvy them up before everyone takes off, or is there a good way to support it that way, to support you guys to get you discs, or no?
Yes, there is. So we actually have like a form on our website that you can fill out that talks about disc donations. It provides an address. So people send us discs pretty regularly, which is awesome. And we're actually going to Costa Rica later this year. Not Hannah and I personally, but Eagles Wings, Costa Rica. And then we're actually doing a new course design project in Brazil in August. So same situation where, looking for discs to take, and use discs are great. So anytime, we just had a group from Louisiana, headed up by Esther and her family, kind of organized getting those discs. And we just received like 120 some discs. It was awesome. Wow. So that'll, anything that you want to get rid of, we would love to take, and we'll find a use for it for sure.
Awesome. Well, very cool. I know anytime we're trying to kind of coordinate and get discs together, and we've seen it, of course, for Army bases, and we've seen it for all sorts of reasons. This another good reason. If you've got 10 discs laying around, there's probably 5 organizations you could send 2 of them to, and spread out the love if you need to. But great that you guys have that available. Chris is going for the first time this year, you said. Is that correct, from El Guapo?
He is, yeah.
Awesome. And now, when you guys are there, give us an overview of what like the week will look like, or the 2 weeks while you're there. What does that kind of look like for you guys?
Yeah. So the main things we do from the disc golf standpoint would be, working on the course every day, doing things. This year, our goal will be to help the tee pads out a little bit, and also kind of create some alternate tee pads to make it harder for the kids that are getting better and the adults that are getting better. And then working on the basket. So kind of work on the course in the morning, and then you break for lunch, and then the kids show up around 2:00 every day. And then we do clinics and training with them and then the staff. Because the people are excited about it, but there's still like basic level of understanding of how to like teach and do games and drills and things like that. So, we do as much teaching as we can. Occasionally we'll go to a local church or school, depending on the time of the year, and do some outside teaching, but most of it's happening right there. And then we'll do that Monday through Thursday. And then Friday, we're running a kids tournament. Last year was awesome. Like, kids were like thrilled to do it. I think we had like 60 kids play in this kids tournament, and then the top kids qualified for Saturday, which they were like super proud about. So we're doing that again on Friday, and then Friday night we're doing a glow tournament, and then Saturday we're doing the Saturday will be the PDGA event, and then after that we'll do a day. We'll spend Sunday there in the town. We'll go to church with the staff there, and just kind of hang out. And then we go to Livingston, where we'll go to Victoria Falls, and we'll do a safari as a team. So that's one of the cool things that people can look forward to. And people can come and play. Last year we had a number of people that that joined us from different countries and came and then just joined the team that we took on the safari and different things like that. So people are welcome to do that.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily just from a teaching or a missionary standpoint. There's people that can come and just participate in the tournament, and then I'm like you're saying, I'm assuming they're welcome to join in whatever activities you guys have going on if they so choose.
Exactly. Yes, they can. They can kind of come and do their own thing. There's a dorm kind of set up that people stay. Everybody stays in the same place, and then everybody, one family cooks meals for everybody there, and it's like for $20 a day, you can hang out there, and it's $20 for lodging and $20 for food for the day.
Awesome.
And it's unbelievable experience. Really, the people that came last year that weren't part of our team, I think, really enjoyed it, and it was we loved having them. It was a lot of fun having them.
Awesome. Well, I know I communicated with you guys a little earlier or a few months ago when I was looking at the schedule and how it was going to unfold in the early part of this year, and I've got committed on my schedule that sometime I will find my way over there to join you guys in what you guys have going on. It's not going to work out this year because I'm going to do Thailand, then Taiwan. But if Taiwan weren't on the schedule, I was gonna come find you guys.
Just bounce over.
Yeah.
Just hit different continents.
Yeah, I mean, I just get my jet and come find these guys. Okay, maybe not. Awesome. Well, again, where can they go? We've mentioned a few websites and opportunities, but where exactly should people go if they want to support the mission in general, or if they want to support any individuals? I know someone like Esther has been talking about fundraising as well, or get disc to you guys. Where do they need to go? What do they need to do?
Yeah, you can find everything at our website, eagleswingsdiscgolf.org. So yeah, any of the individual team members, they're raising funds to go. Also, we have like a player sponsorship, so people can sponsor a player from Zambia, which gets them a PDGA membership. It gets them into the tournament, and then we send you a disc and a tag and a mini. So definitely still looking to raise a few more dollars. That goes not only to the tournament, but also to help us with those basket costs. So so anything you can find on our website, whether it be for individuals or the trip in general. And definitely, follow us on Facebook and Instagram, because we'll post videos and things like that the whole time that we're there, and definitely worthwhile to see, some of those kids throwing there.
Very cool. Well, again, everyone go out there. I'm going to put the link right now for anyone that hasn't seen it. I'll put the link in I'll put it in the correct spot. And we'll also see if we can get that pushed out here for the next few days as well. Again, you guys said you're leaving on February 1st. Is that correct?
Yeah, February 1st when we're headed out. Yep.
And then what exactly is the travel itinerary look like? How long before your feet are on the ground and you're in front of a disc golf basket over there? What's that timeline?
Yeah, so it might be. Yeah, I think we're actually leaving February 2nd, which is Sunday morning. We'll leave Sunday morning really early, and we won't get there in Matcha till Monday, like afternoon. So it's basically like 24 hours of travel, and then they're 7 hours ahead. So it is a grueling time, but certainly well worth it.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds plenty busy. So as if that's not enough.
Well, that's just until mid-February.
Yeah,
Let's talk about
then
from
what are you
February
doing? I mean, come on.
or March until October.
There's 10 months after that. What else are you guys going to do with your time this year?
Yeah, for us, like I said, we're going to the team. We have a team that we're sending to Costa Rica. We won't be going, and we're preparing for this Brazil trip, but we'll be doing a lot of what we've done the last couple of years. So Eagles Wings will still be doing, the chapel ministry at the major events. So we try to be at a number of those. And we've also really enjoyed, helping out with the junior events. So we try to be at Junior Worlds. Last year we got to be at Am Worlds. We were at Pro Worlds. And Hannah will be doing some playing as well, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, and you've been a little bit sidelined off and on due to injury, and is that fully healed? And where are you at with all that?
Yeah, I'm healthy. I'm in good shape. I kind of space my tournaments out a little more these days. Just make sure I have time to recover and things of that nature. But I'm feeling good. nothing's going on at this point. I'm ready to go, and I'm excited to play some tournaments this year.
How many and which ones do you think are on your radar to play?
Yeah, well, last I was looking, I think somewhere between maybe like I don't know, 12 and 15, maybe. We'll see. And yeah, I'm gonna be going to Worlds. Of course, I'm gonna play a couple here in Florida. Throw It on the Mountain. I'm signed up for that. Tallahassee probably again. I'll be going out to GBO again as usual. I always go to that one. And then after that, we'll see. I think I'm going to Ledgestone maybe. A couple other ones. I have a few on my list, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
What does it take to either be added or subtracted from your list these days?
Oh, my list. Okay. Well, let's see here. There's tournaments that I really enjoy going to every year. Like, I love going to the GBO. I think it's just a great tournament. So I love to go to that. I don't want to miss that one.
Okay.
You know, there's certain ones that I just definitely want to go to. Worlds, I don't want to miss Worlds. U.S. Women's, I really don't. I want to go to that, of course. You know, and then after that, Dustin sometimes has obligations too. So we kind of try to make it work together between Eagles Wings stuff and then me playing. So that's kind of how it works out these days.
That makes sense. And if I recap in my head, the three that you mentioned that you don't want to miss, to use your terms, those are the three largest fields of pro women that we usually see every year.
Yeah.
You know, the U.S. Women's, Pro Worlds, GBO, those all fall right in line with that. So that makes perfect sense. You're out for the most amount of competition with against the best in the world. Any particular goals or things you're striving for this year?
Yeah, I'm hoping to play alrighty this year, and that would be a good goal. And I'd like to, I want to see how I can do. I'm feeling good, so I'm excited. I love competition.
I think
like to get out there.
I think it's exciting because this year it feels like we're going to have even more FPO competition.
Yeah.
We've got some of the women from Europe coming over that are going to be touring. And just in general, in the past 3 or 4 years, it feels like the FPO field has grown significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love seeing it, and I like to be a part of it. And I'm excited to be out there and competing with everyone. It's going to be great. Looking forward to it.
So, Terry, I got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
I mean, each year we try to pick one that we could just kind of do as a vacation. We don't do any like business or Eagles Wing stuff. We just do for fun. So last year we went up to Canadian Nationals, which was really cool at Prince Edward Island. But what would your suggestion be for what we put on our schedule this year? That would be just bucket list, really fun experience, cool place.
I'm a little biased. I just had an email exchange with him today. I don't know how, if you ever have the opportunity to be involved with and get to and enjoy the Nantucket Open, I feel like that is just, to say you have to take either a plane or a ferry to get to the course, so to speak, or to the island in the first place. And then Nantucket has its own, mystique and ambiance and everything else that's about being there. And then just the way you're treated there, I mean, they really spoil, they're pro-centric. They really spoil the pros there, the FPO and the MPO. It's the golf is, 2 rounds of 18 in one day. That's probably almost the only time you'll do that all year, but it's still fun. And it's not quite as serious. I mean, Ricky Wysocki played with a shopping bag last year as his bag. So that tells you a little bit about, some of
atmosphere.
the atmosphere there. And, he typically has a clinic, and when you're a top rated female like yourself, Hannah, you could be involved possibly in the clinic that they do on Thursday. On Friday, there's a skins match, which again kind of looks at your rating and or a qualifier to win some more free money. The 2 rounds, a great catered lunch in between. The Raz round as a spectator or a player is insane. I mean, there's just, I think being there is something. If you ever have a chance to experience it, it's a couple of pretty wild days. So.
Awesome.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah, I've been very spoiled to have any part of being at that event the last few years, and I hope even a fraction of that comes through on the videos as to the the chaos, the fun chaos that takes place while you're there. It's pretty incredible. Have you guys been on Nantucket for anything else or played there or anything?
Nope, never been
yet.
there.
Nope.
All right.
Perfect.
Last year was the same weekend as Prince Edward Island, so.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know this year there might be a conflict. I think Charlie Vettner possibly. I think there's one or two events that Pittsburgh may or may not be up against it. I know there's going to be a couple of good competing events against it, but it's a B tier that's, as spoiling as any Pro Tour event is. It's incredible. So
Cool.
that's my plug. Get there.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll probably also see you guys maybe at the Junior Worlds. I know you guys are usually very active in helping out there. What are some of the roles or things you've done there in the last few years as it's been in Emporia?
Yeah, I mean, with both those events, we just reached out to Doug with Junior Worlds and Kids Disc Golf with USJDGC and wanted to do whatever we could. So, we've basically done anything they've asked. And last 2 years, we've gone and we've TD'd one of the courses at Junior Worlds, and then basically just, got involved in all the activities. We do the Junior Grant Winner Dinner. We try to hang out with our Junior Grant winners. We do a chapel there, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, we hope to be there at Junior Worlds, and then Eagles Wings will have some type of representation at USJDGC too. Just trying to, we know it's, challenging to, I think it's a different type of challenging to get a big juniors tournament because you're not like, hey, all the best players in the world are coming, so, give us money for that or those types of things. So, we just want to be as available and helpful as we can in, any of those efforts. And it's really is, if anyone else is thinking about going and just getting involved, it's really fun to just see the energy and the kids and the excitement that they have for those things. So they are really cool events. A lot of fun to be part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for so many years enjoying both, now that the juniors has been separated a few years ago, but being at the Am Worlds, being at the Junior Worlds, those are things that have meant a little extra to me as well, from a media perspective and seeing our next up and comers, but then also just seeing that sheer raw excitement out of these players. And we find, similar atmosphere at a lot of the women's based events, kind of that same idea. Just, you get this group of people together and a lot of the other, I'll say, drama or other stuff seems to just kind of fade away because there's such a focus on the efforts here. It's incredible. So
yeah, for sure.
And we are looking at a women's global event year as well this year.
Yep,
so
2020.
Wherever that might be taking place for everyone, hopefully they can get involved. Another great experience. So, anything else that we need to cover with you guys? I feel like we got the rundown. I've got everything but the GPS installed chip installed in you guys to know where you're going to be. And anything else?
Yeah. No, I think that's it. I mean, the only other thing I would add, you asked, where we hope to take the Junior Grant. You didn't ask where we hope to take Zambia. My big hope there is, you already mentioned it, but to have at least one member of the Smashbox crew there in 2021. So that is our dream.
All right.
Yes,
well,
it is.
Both would be preferable.
Yes. Great.
I was going to say we could try to do a podcast from there, but I don't know how great the internet is. It could be recorded.
Yeah.
We could record it and release it.
We can make it happen. Well, I'm definitely excited to find out more about the planning as that comes up for next year because that is on the list, a bucket list. I got to create these things so we can go out and have all these amazing experiences. And thank you guys for the vision and then all of the dedication, all of the organization, and then everything that it takes to make these things happen. I know we use that phrase, grow the sport, but if it weren't for the efforts of you guys along with all the people you enlist, we wouldn't have these amazing opportunities to even talk about them.
Yeah, well, thank you for having us on and letting us talk about it. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Anytime.
All right, guys.
Anytime.
Thank you. We'll push the application process and the donations that can be done out there. And then, as always, we'd love to hear from you guys when you're ready to announce the winners. We'd love to give them the full attention they deserve when it comes to announcing everyone as well. And we look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Thanks for staying up late with us.
Thank you.
And good luck and safe travels.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Again, Dustin and Hannah.
Two people.
If they would only do a little bit of work, right?
I mean, they're like growing the sport, I guess, but really, when was the last time they ran a league?
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Or I haven't seen much off of their personal Instagram, or
Yeah.
that's growing the sport.
It's incredible. Yeah, like, think about the last time they ran. Oh yeah, last time we ran a league was in Zambia.
Oh, jeez.
If they would just get with it. No,
They are awesome. Honestly, two of the best people in our sport.
Yes.
And on top of that, two of the best ambassadors in our sport.
Yeah. So thank you for everything you guys are doing. I can't echo it enough. Just you keep at it, and as their excitement and enthusiasm grows, it is clearly infectious, and that's why so many other people are continuing to jump on board and want to support what they're doing. And together, this all just makes that much greater of an impact, and we love seeing it. So, thank you so much. Keep it up. All right. In a little while, I'm going to reach out to Paul Ulibarri here and see if he's going to be able to join us and give us some updates as to what's going on in his life. We want to thank Alexis, who just jumped in with a super chat. I didn't know if the super chat was taken away in 2020. I hadn't seen too many people.
It's not.
It didn't pop up for me.
Super
but
chat is there.
Shane also got on it. Shane made it work in 2020. So if anyone else is curious if it works or not, there's a little $ sign in the bottom.
You want to know what else works?
What?
Patreon.com.
It does.
Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
I feel like a plug's coming on.
For as little as $1 a month.
What?
I feel like I need some Sarah McLachlan music behind me.
Just
a sad picture of Terry.
Arms of an angel.
You can help. If you saw me, you know that I'd steal $1 out of your wallet.
Yes. So
And
you might as well just give it.
You might as
freely.
well just feel free to give it to us every
Reduce
month.
that hand in your pocket.
You don't want
coming
my
from
hands
Johnny
in your
V.
pocket. Instead, just, and you can give us that $1 on patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV, so I don't have to go digging in your pockets when you're not looking.
Or sleeping.
Or maybe looking. I don't know. I'm not really that picky.
Well, we do appreciate it. I'll put that link out there as well. Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. At the $1 level, you are automatically eligible for all of our weekly giveaways that we do. So every single week that we're live, we give at least one thing away. If we miss 1 week, we catch up on you on the next week. Sometimes we give away things, multiple things a week. But we do appreciate each and every one of you guys. At a $2 level and above, you get your name featured in our credits that rolls at the end of every single show. And at $3 and above, you find yourself getting a SmashBoxxTV Patreon disc that we do annually.
Yep, and that should be coming around pretty soon. We're going to be making that order and signing those. We get them in. I usually schedule a family trip over to Terry's house where we stack up all the discs and sign them, package them, and then Terry and his daughters put them in boxes and ship them out. Nothing like child labor. There's no child labor laws in Terry's
not at my house
apartment or his condo.
And then at the $10 and above level, if you choose to be crazy and support us in that fashion, you will receive a quarterly shirt that is made up and then shipped out to you. And those are thus far have been pretty much the exclusive way of getting your hands on those special shirts is by supporting us at that level. So any and all levels, we appreciate it. If you don't want to do any of that and you just want to be super nice and generous, there's always that super chat on YouTube. So whatever it is, we just want to get it out of the way, say thank you so much. We receive a lot of support throughout the year, and it helps us out greatly to do all the things that we need to do and hopefully grow, expand, and dare I say even improve from time to time.
Once in a while.
Attempt to improve.
New graphics. That's what we did today.
There
Somebody,
we go.
I don't know who took care of those new graphics for us for our new thumbnail.
That was actually me. And I do apologize. There's another gentleman that reached out to me. He said he wanted to help. We went back and forth, and then we didn't come to a final look and design for what we were working on. And then today I was like, well, I'm just going to hammer something out so we have something.
Nice.
And so I put the new one that was out today. I don't love it. I don't know if it's a
We're
final
not sold
copy,
on it,
but
just
we're getting into that new year, so we'll continue to make some improvements here, both large and small. Speaking of improvements, large and small, we're just like 6-7 weeks away from the first live event of the year, the live tournament.
I feel
of
so
the year.
unprepared right now. I don't know what I have to prepare.
Holy cow!
But I feel unprepared, and I always feel that every year when we get live disc golf coming. I feel like there is about a dozen things I want to do, but I don't know what those dozen things are yet. And I'm sure I'll find out about a week before the tournament. Then I need to go to AT&T at some point and get
some more
data plans set
or
up.
A special cable or a cord.
No.
Something.
We sent a lot of that stuff to Jeff Spring saying, hey, this is what we feel you're going to need. I know that some of those positions are still, I don't know if they're still open for application, but I believe there were still some interviews going on for some of the Pro Tour positions. So if you're interested in working with the Pro Tour, you can go to dgpt.com and take a look at all of that.
Yeah, and we are excited to hear about that. And we know both from the Disc Golf Pro Tour and from the PDGA perspective, there were some jobs that were posted last year that talked about that were all focused on media and seeing who's going to get into those positions, who we'll be working with either closely or somewhat closely with, I'm sure. Exciting time that we're seeing media positions posted and being filled in disc golf. And, of course, 10 years ago, that would have been crazy to say, oh, yeah, we need maybe we said we needed one, but there wasn't a budget and it wasn't a concern. And now it is now there's multiple media positions. And that's not to even include or mention all the companies that are always looking for people to fill some of those roles. So very cool to see.
Shout out to Mike Saunders for the $4 super chat. Thumbs up, buddy. Thank you.
Yes, Mike Saunders.
I'm sorry, Saunders. I threw an N in there.
You
Sorry.
did. I could see how that's easy to do.
Well, we grew up with a Saunders, Patrick Saunders.
Oh, and a Matt Sandin.
Not the same, not even close, but I do appreciate that.
Yes.
I mean, we did. But,
and I have a cousin last name Sanderfoot. I mean, we could do this all day.
That's fantastic.
And our pal Becky Sanders.
Becky
she
Sanders.
might be crying now that I just mentioned her name. She was sensitive.
We knew her. In junior high.
Okay, all right. We don't want to get too far off the rails here. Let's see. I've got
Sneaker. Until we hear back from Paul Ulibarri.
Yep.
Sneaker Wizard has a good question. He says, now just tuning in, so he may have missed it, but what do you think about Brody Smith getting into our sport? Brody has been, according to his social media, pretty active in the practicing of disc golf. He is, he's 32 years old. He's got a background in Ultimate. Where do you stand on this? Pros, any cons?
Well, yeah. First and foremost, which is a little bit funny because we had this discussion 5 years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, about Brody's impact. If there was going to be any impact, as he really became mainly famous. He was doing his trick shots, and then the one that pushed it over the top, I believe he was in Australia. He threw a disc off a bridge. Frisbee or ultimate disc off the bridge, and then really the more impressive part was someone catching it by leaping off of a boat, and that was
the boat driver. I think had the hardest job.
Yeah, I feel like that was the moment that really blew him up, so to speak. Although he had been doing all these trick shots, and I know that he then did some trick shots, with Paul and Simon. He also worked Avery before that, the year before that. And there was a conversation about amount of, likes or whatever that got him into then buying or getting his PDGA membership and then saying he was going to compete in an event. I just as recently as yesterday saw some Instagram stories of him with Emerson Keith doing some putting down in Texas.
Oh, was he with Emerson? I didn't see that part.
That's what I believe I saw. Yep. Doing some trick shots, and I mean, he's genuinely working on his game, but I think he makes sure to set aside a few minutes to get a few trick shots in.
Okay.
And I think that's great.
I do too. I think that Brody has a following clearly on YouTube and such, and if he can bring some of that following to disc golf, it can only help us. So it's the beginning of the year. I want you to make a few predictions for me. I want you to guess on Brody Smith's future. One, how many tournaments does he play this year? If any.
He's for sure playing one, and I think that was part of the I hate to use the word fallout. That's not the right word. That was one of the components of their video, I think, was if it got X amount of likes or something, he would compete in at least one tournament. And so that's, I think, what also prompted the PDGA membership and so on.
Of which he blocked out his number.
Yeah, which was really funny.
Silly,
yeah, a little bit
whatever.
roasted for that. But I think he's going to for sure compete in one. Will it be as many as 5? I doubt it. It might be 2 or 3. And then the next question naturally becomes, what will his rating be? What will he go out and shoot when he does compete? And maybe what division will he enter?
That was the other question. Is he the type of person that will go out and play in probably a division where he belongs? We'll say advanced, intermediate. Maybe he can get to an advanced level depending on how much he's practicing before he plays. Let's just say, what will his rating be? Or is he the type of person that just feels like he should be playing open? Because he probably shouldn't. And is this going to be a, let's call it a life sport for him?
No.
You just think it's for him a flash in the pan. I'm going to do this. I'm going to kind of build up a bunch of hype for it, play this tournament, work with, Paul and Simon and kind of build up more of a community. Maybe try to pull in more of that disc golf community into his YouTube following. What is the end game for him here?
He has been very actively, since being essentially retired from Ultimate a few years ago now. He's
since
gone
like
through some injuries.
2010, I think, or something.
He has been very, very actively playing ball golf. And clearly, if you can find any success there, there's clearly not only does he get into trick shots and fun challenges and games from the golf perspective, but if it gets at all serious and at all good, there's can be real money that can be won there. So
he's too old to get good at golf. I hate to say it, but I just have a hard time believing that he can be competitive, picking up a golf stick basically, we'll say in his mid to late 20s, and be able to compete with some of the guys that have been playing since they're 5 years old. Now, could he, local guy that does good? Maybe, but I don't feel like he's going to be, that there's any money in golf for him.
Yeah, well, I think there's more money there potentially, and or endorsements because of the money that can follow along with golf as opposed to disc golf. So I don't know if that will continue to be where he puts a lot of focus or some focus. I think he's definitely taking disc golf a little bit more seriously and probably having some fun with it right now. Now, who knows?
I think he doesn't want to make a
serious.
fool of himself at the tournament he plays. So.
Sure, I'm sure there's some of that, and I'm sure there's some of the learning curve that's just really fun because he does,
as we know,
throw an ultimate disc well.
And as we all know, when you start playing the sport more seriously, now he's dabbled in it for a few years now, that skill level jumps up exponentially those first few months.
Sure.
You
especially if you have an athletic background like he does.
I mean, it looks like he can easily throw 300 feet already.
Oh yeah.
And so it'll be a matter of honing that in and figuring out an Anheuser versus a straight hyzer versus whatever sort of trick shots he wants to throw.
Well, and the fact that clearly the forehand throw, now granted with a very different shape of plastic. The forehand throw, though, is the dominant throw that you find in Ultimate. And there was a Instagram post of him yesterday throwing what someone said was a mid-range or a buzz or something like that, throwing it forehand. And he's getting good distance out of that. Again, he understands so much more of Frisbee flight and mechanics. You've got to transfer it from Ultimate to disc, which is obviously very different. But just the fact that he has any clue about that stuff, think about the first year or 2 or 5 that you were throwing a disc. other than what you maybe thought you figured out, there was nothing about the mechanics of it that you truly, I think, understood. He's coming with such a huge jump start coming from the Ultimate world.
Of course.
And then now having access to people like Avery, Paul, Simon, Emerson, Keith. Like, I mean, being able to rub elbows, so to speak, with some of the best players in the world to then potentially accelerate your learning curve is a huge advantage as well. The question is, how much fun will he find in it? And really, when will you figure out a putt? Because we all know disc golf sucks until you learn how to putt.
True story.
I mean, like, I don't care what he's doing out there. If you're 3-putting, you are not having fun, and you're embarrassing yourself and everyone else if you're doing it frequently. So we'll see if he can get that locked in. It would be I don't see any drawback to it. Some people have already said on the board. Hopefully he calms down. He's maybe not quite as loud and or
he's got a
gregarious.
YouTube personality, and some of that YouTube is being really excited all the time. I can't wait to play, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's just, it's a YouTube thing that you have to stick out. You have to be that type of personality. He's not going to be that way on the course. Not at a tournament, unless there's a set of cameras following him.
Yeah.
Which very well could be. But I think he understands social etiquette as well. I don't see him being that way.
Of course. And the fact that
he's
knows
a smart guy.
the sport of golf.
Yes.
And so, of course, a lot of those things, having the Ultimate background, having now this golf interest and passion, and then realizing he's kind of combining those two to arrive at disc golf, I'm not too concerned about, where he's gonna, if he's gonna fall on his feet or not. He'll be all right. Again, he gets sponsorship from HP and from your Volkswagen and your Gatorade type places. He and gets paid vacations and sponsorship deals and endorsements to do a lot of other things. So his time in disc golf clearly won't be out there to be trying to compete so he can win $5,000. Well, that's if he wins one of the biggest tournaments of the year. So
I was going to say, what, for the next 2 years?
Yeah, wins 500, I should say, at a B tier. But it will be good for disc golf. I don't really see any drawbacks to it. So, but yeah, and like you said, if he can I don't want to say convert, but at least if he'll introduce disc golf to a lot of other people who may not otherwise hear or see of it in any other way, but they're going to get a little introduction or taste to it from him. Now, clearly, some of his Ultimate people will be like, yeah, cool, that's where, that's disc golf is where all the athletic Ultimate people go to die, is in disc golf, because you're not running anymore. There's some different stereotypes.
It's a different
the
pace.
pace, all of those things. We'll see how those translate, but it'll be great to see what he does with it.
Here's what I say. He can't be bad for the game. He can only be good for the game. It's just how good can he be?
Correct.
That's it.
Yep. We shall see.
First rated round. Take a guess. What do you think it's going to be? Come on, you got to guess. You can't just be like,
I'm going to say I bet you he shoots. I don't know why I come up with this number.
We'll say
it's so random.
I won't even say first rated round. I'll say his highest rated round of whatever tournament he plays.
I'm going to say 925.
Oh, that's low, I think.
Okay.
I think he hits 940. I think if he plays a 2-round event and he practices like he does, I bet you he hits 940 for one of the 2 rounds, we'll say.
Okay. That's roughly one stroke off of what I just said, but okay.
It's like
one or
1.5, maybe 2.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Well, yeah, no, I'm sure. I think
yeah.
I don't think he is busting out 1,000 rated round at any point in 2020. I'll make that much of a prediction.
No, I think he could play for an entire year and not crest 960 as a player rating overall. Like he's just it just doesn't come that fast usually.
All right, I'm officially telling Uli to call us. He's probably just squirming in his chair.
I see him online. Should I call him up?
Well, okay, I'll.
Or he can call us. I mean, I'm not picky.
Excuse me. All right, we'll We'll see if we can get him to join us. All right. Some suggestions on the board are coming in. Jordan Castro says above 900. Some others are saying 890, 903, 932, 950. Matt suggests 943 will be his highest rated round. Highest rated round. Shane is saying 958. So Ray suggests you'll have an 870 rating at the end of the year. Ray, I mean, assuming he plays, I'll say 4 or more rounds that are rated, I think his rating will be above 900.
I agree. You know who we could ask? Who has his finger on? Oh, he had the finger on the pulse until he just there he goes.
I heard he was giving private lessons. He should be.
He is. People actually pay this guy to teach them disc golf.
And Brody is on the top of his celebrity client list. Welcoming to the show, Paul Ulibarri.
What's up, guys?
How you doing, buddy?
So the
I'm
discussion
good.
the discussion is Brody Smith. He's guaranteed at least one event this year. He looks like he's been practicing. What do you think his highest rated round he will shoot is?
I'd have to watch him play, honestly. I mean, I've seen a couple of his shots. Like you guys said, the last couple of days he's been on Instagram posting that he's, practicing and things like that. I think you guys are underestimating him. Honestly, I think that actually Brody's a very good athlete, and he has the means and the time to dedicate to whatever he chooses. Like we just saw him. I'm an avid or was an avid ball golfer, traditional golfer before disc golf. So I really found it entertaining to watch his road through that and how he pursued traditional golf over the last, I think, about a year. And his progress was actually pretty crazy. He progressed very well, and I bet you he's a scratch golfer now. So with that being said, disc golf, especially coming straight from ultimate into disc golf, as long as he has the right people in his corner, I think that honestly the sky's the limit, but I think we have plenty of ultimate players in disc golf who've kind of segued it into disc golf and been very successful. Like of Andrew Fish comes to mind. He was the ultimate player. He's like 1026, so I don't see why that couldn't happen with Brody, especially with time, not being a real factor for him. I feel like.
Yeah, that's if he takes it seriously. I'm thinking just this year. I said he'll probably shoot like a 943 rated round. That'll be his high if he plays for his first event. I don't know if he plays 12 or 15 events. That clearly is going to go up. But let's just assume he plays the one event that he's scheduled for. Where do you see that happening? Give me a number.
That depends. Like I said, I'd have to see him play.
I want a number, Yuli.
I haven't seen him play. You guys haven't seen him play. Now the funny thing is literally 45 seconds before I called you guys, I was in a message with Brody talking about some form and different things like that. So the reason I say
did you drop that name or did Paul? I'm checking the floor.
What? Who?
So
huh?
I'm not going to throw him under the bus quite yet. I think, like I said, I think he actually has the means to get a lot of good advice. He said he'd been talking with Macbeth and Simon, and those guys are really good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I had, lessons from Jack Nicklaus, I bet you I'd improve in traditional golf probably pretty fast. So.
And it doesn't hurt living near Emerson Key through, small package throws a mile.
And like I said, the thing that's on his side is everybody wants to help him. I mean, anybody who wants to see disc golf grow, it has probably reached out to him and been like, "Hey, man, if you ever need any help, if you ever need anything, like hit me up. I got you." And we all see the value there. I mean, he has 1 million followers. It can't hurt to have a couple disc golf rounds under his belt. I mean, 1 million followers is a lot, guys.
Yeah. Well, because everybody in our sport just dies over the Jomez 150,000 viewers, and he has that I was gonna say quadrupled, but 6 times that. So that is an amazing, definitely an amazing statistic. Does he have any sort of disc golf sponsorship that you know of, Yuli? I know he has some buzzes printed with his logo on them of some sort, but does he have any sponsorship?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, obviously with his background in Ultimate and working with Discraft being there, and then him hanging out with Paul and those guys, I don't think that's a major concern. Maybe you could answer. I mean, of course, you would love to have him on the team, but I'm thinking from a personal perspective, I'm not sure that he even really probably cares at this point. Is that a fair statement?
That's something you'd have to ask him. I can't. I wouldn't know. I don't know much. Like I said, I've had a couple encounters with him, and that's about it. So, I am really pumped that he's taking it serious, and that's what he's saying. Like he really wants to be good, and he thinks he can be good. And if that's the case, I'm not going to doubt somebody like that. You give me money, time, and the drive to do something. I feel like I can get pretty good at something as pretty quick. So I wouldn't put it past him to be as good as he wants to be.
Well, I will not even give him a hard time or mention when he stole one of my videos on YouTube and put it on his own channel, an Ace by Seppo from the 2011 Worlds. I won't even bring that up.
Well, that's why he has that many viewers, clearly.
Instant famous from your video of Sep.
I'm just saying that might have happened once. I may have had to send him a message.
Okay, Yuli, I saw something on Reddit a couple days ago. It was a text message between two guys, one of which had said, "Hey, guess what? Paul Ulibarri is out here. He's on like a hole in front of me. He's playing disc golf," or something along those lines. His buddy responds, "Hey, that's cool." The next response was, "Oh my God, Yuli fell down. He's walking off the course." What's going on? Where do you stand? I guess maybe you don't stand right now. What's going on with the leg and the knee?
The leg's doing good. I just had. A lot of people don't know this, but I just had surgery 3 weeks ago on a couple issues that I had, a couple hiccups that happened during the off season. Nothing, serious. It wasn't like an injury or a re-injury or anything like that. It was just some complications with the original injury and my body not taking to a couple things that it was supposed to take to. So I had another surgery. They cleaned it up. They took a screw out of there. They cleaned up my meniscus a little bit more. I had a really good surgeon this time. One of the top guys in Seattle who works on, a bunch of the Seattle Seahawks. And, I made sure to get somebody really good. So he cleaned me up. And, I played a couple times this last week, soft playing. And I went out to this course and it was super muddy. It was horrible, and I knew I shouldn't be there, and I was throwing a couple shots at the buddies, and I was just walking literally in the grass, walking, normal guy walking, foot slips out, my left leg's completely torqued left. I mean, it was horrible. I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Like, and I just kind of walked off the course and evaluated it when I got home, took a shower, and everything was good. So I take from that
that walking is tough.
No, I take from it that my knee's healthy, and if it can stand up to something like that, because it was pretty brutal. Like my right leg went out, my back hit the ground, and my leg went completely left. So that's I had the injury on my left leg, and nothing popped, nothing happened. So yeah. My ACL is strong and getting stronger by the day. I work out, every day. I have physical therapy with a couple different people, and things are going really good as far as that goes. Obviously, it sucked because of this other surgery, and I was way ahead of schedule with a lot of things, and then just sometimes this stuff happens. So.
Well, and speaking of schedule, I know I reached out to you a little earlier today. This weekend, the Shelley Sharp Memorial is taking place. That's 3 rounds, 1 round per day on the Vista XL layout, the same one that really kind of is a precursor to what we see for the Memorial each year. They kind of, hash a few things out, maybe try a few things. We've heard of a couple changes in talking to Keith. But this weekend, you don't feel like you're necessarily ready to go and ready to compete on it full scale. Is that correct?
Oh, no way. Yeah, no way.
Okay.
That was the goal originally. You know, I set a couple goals last year when the surgery happened, and I worked really hard to get there. And like I said, just stuff out of my control happened, and a couple setbacks. But I mean, honestly, you know, I found some silver lining with it. Like I worked so hard that I was ahead of schedule with my original surgery, and by working, you know, hard and getting ahead, it allowed for this surgery to take place and for me to actually be right on schedule for my original date, which they told me, you know, 8 to 6 months, which I, you know, as soon as they told me that, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be back in 4 or 5 months. And everybody, even though everybody told me, no, that's impossible, blah, 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 you know, I made that goal for myself. And unfortunately, like I said, this new thing happened, had to get another surgery, but I'm still looking at the same recovery date, which is great.
And now in looking at the Shelly Sharp, they've added it to the PDGA website, and there's tee times and everything for the opening day, which is Friday. We see your brother playing, which is
Right.
awesome, playing in the Masters division, and one of the higher rated players out there. I mean, obviously we see him competing with like Steve Rico, who just had a birthday a few days ago. Are you going to be out at the event? Looking at any of the changes, watching some of the play? Do you lay low? What's kind of your plan?
I live in Seattle now, so I've been in Seattle for what has it been, 3 months now or something like that.
Okay.
And so no, I won't be out there watching her playing, but my brother is going to shred it. I know that. He's been
Okay.
playing really well, like, and just working really hard himself. And oh my gosh, it seems like the older he gets, the better he gets. It's pretty incredible. I hope that when I'm 40, that happens to me to where I keep improving.
You shut your mouth now over there, all right? Coming from
It's working for Johnny.
40 plus years old. That's true. I've won a few.
Yeah, he keeps winning. You just if you get older, you lower
Yeah.
division,
Yeah.
and then you win. Then that's
And then
the
you only
secret.
play like once a year. That's great.
that's
That's the key to success.
Johnny V's success stories
Sure.
right here, folks. This season, will we see you in the same role as last year, Discraft team manager overseeing it? It feels like I hope you got a raise because it feels like the team is expanding every other day.
Yeah, no, the team, Discraft in general is just, you know, killing it right now. And I've never been the team manager. I've been learning from Bob, and Bob's been teaching me a lot of things. I'm the team captain, so
Okay,
a lot
sorry.
of people get those ones kind of misconstrued. But
But
no.
the original thought was that at some point in the future you'll take
yeah.
over team captain after Bob kind of shows you the ropes and you get more comfortable in the position, right?
Yeah, yes, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely was in the talks for sure. And yeah, so the team's growing. We had a bunch of big signings in the off season, obviously, with you know, that was part of the reason why I didn't want to say that I was having another surgery, is I didn't want to like bring any sort of negative media to us. You know, we have so much positive stuff going on. It's just been incredible with everything, and that's what we want. We want to just keep growing and keep pushing the brand, and that's what's happening right now. I mean, we're not stopping, and that's the goal.
Yeah, and I'm certainly in no way should this be misconstrued as Debbie Downer, but on that same token, as you guys continue to acquire a lot of players, most recently I think I saw Coda Hatfield being acquired in just in the last couple of days. I think back to a couple of years ago where we saw Latitude really have an aggressive push to go out and get a lot of really good players, including the likes of now two-time world champ Ricky Wysocki. Acquired a lot of players, and then at a certain point, it felt like they needed to really reassess as to how many players do we have, how many can we fully support, and to what degree can we support them? Is there, you know, how consciously are you guys growing when you're, you know, thinking about that big picture, or are you just, You get just a stack
We're
of
just
blank checks to
we're
write.
blindly
Yeah.
signing people just.
I mean,
checks
blank
and
just.
not even looking at the numbers, and we're just putting them out there.
I keep
Nice.
checking my mailbox, and
Yeah, we're gonna be sponsored
I'm assuming
eventually.
that at some point, just a Discraft envelope will show up. I just have to sign my name, and at some point, I'm going to pop up on social media.
It's all a strategy, man. You know, and I know this for facts. Discraft's been around a long time, obviously, and they aren't hurting in any way, in any shape or form. And not only that, in the ultimate industry, they're doing great. You know, with the Ultra Star, which is a nice backing, and so this isn't like, I don't want you guys to be comparing past this, that, or the other thing. This is happening now, and the sport's bigger now than it has ever been. And part of the reason it's going to grow is because of the things that we're doing, and that's just facts right there. We're pushing the sport, and we want it to grow, and we have the best people on our side, and I feel like the moves that we're making are strategic and very well thought out, and I don't think you guys should worry.
Oh, I want to be
None
very
of us
clear.
are. Trust me,
Yeah,
none
we're
of us
not-
are worried
I'm not
about
necessarily
Discraft.
worried. I think it's just
They can cut you in a heartbeat and try and make.
No,
Good,
it's
for
just
sure.
really from an observational perspective of seeing what has happened. I'm not worried that your checks are going to bounce. That the blank ones you're writing are going to bounce. I'm just saying from a strategic standpoint, it's interesting to see you guys absorb and support a lot of quality players, and that's getting tougher every year because there's so many quality players. To see them leave one great
do you
company and
think
go to
that-
another is
that
tough.
Latitude signing Ricky back then and signing all those players, do you think it hurt the company Latitude in the long run? Or did it
Probably
help?
not. I don't think so. I think it helped in the
Yeah.
in the extreme long run. You could look at the
Alright.
short run where
Mm-hmm.
when Ricky ended up leaving and Latitude scaled back, that maybe it wasn't sustainable for that short term. But overall, it expanded the name. And the funny thing is, I don't think Discraft needs that particular type of exposure. Everybody knows Discraft. They're not out there to say make a quote unquote a name for themselves. Everybody knows the name. I believe they're just it's a different business model this time around.
Right.
I have a question about Coda, who recently signed. I know he was one of those guys that, just always a phenom. And do you know, does he plan on touring this year? Is that kind of his goal? I know he had said he'd always wanted to, but is he going to kind of stay more local to his area?
No, I've had some talks with him, a few talks, and he just got an RV, and I believe he plans on playing more big events. I think there's no doubt he's probably going to stay local for a bit of it. I mean, why not? Oklahoma, Texas has plenty of events to sustain a top level pro if they want to play every single weekend. But I think his ultimate goal is to go out and prove himself and play well and play some of the bigger events for sure.
I think of, I don't want to say he's been quiet, but he hasn't been traveling, I guess is to your point, Johnny. He hasn't traveled a ton. I remember seeing him very early in his career, such a phenom and a force, and then he just went a little bit dormant in terms of the national scene. So it would be great to see, where some of these players maybe are getting that resurgence of either it's the right time, the right place in their career or their age or their career or whatever it might be.
Because Coda's probably about 30. Is that correct?
Maybe you're
I
too
think
older
he's
than
a
that?
year older than I am.
Okay, so 40.
Possibly.
So
Yeah.
Ouch.
No, and Coda's one of those guys that you could easily just say he's a top 10 golfer. He could be easily a top 10 golfer. He might not be in that top 5, but it would not surprise anybody to watch him come to a pro tour, national tour major and see him take a 4th, a 5th, a 6th place. Just he's been around and he has that. He knows the competition so well, and there's nothing that's really going to shake him these days. He has the experience behind him that I think that he could be one of those surprise golfers this year that some people don't see coming.
Well,
I'm pretty sure he was the youngest. He's the youngest MPO player ever to get to 100 wins when he got to 100 wins. I might not be
factual.
I'm pretty sure there's something along that lines to where he was at like 90 wins early when that wasn't a thing for somebody his age. So he's been around, and anybody from my generation knows Coda Hatfield as being a baller, you know.
Well, and that's exactly what I was just gonna to echo, or actually maybe to refute Johnny a little bit. When you say nobody will be surprised, nobody that's Yuli's age or your age or my age will be surprised. You somebody in the last 5 years will have no idea who he is unless you live in Oklahoma.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to Bob about it, and I'm like, I'm trying to talk him into it, being like, listen, this guy is like, he's legit, He's, I remember playing USDGC for the first time and him coming up the fairway and having like a 60-footer down on hole 18 when you could have a 60-footer, way up top, and he airballed that thing all the way down there in the water. It was awesome though, because he was just fearless. He was just fearless, and I remember following him with Corey Sharp, my good friend at the time, and that's just the way that he was. He just went for everything, and he was one of the most aggressive putters, and he was really cool. His style was awesome back then. He could throw it far, putt great before, all that stuff was really a thing. So to me, it's awesome to see him back. And I think, like, to Johnny's point, I think that if he gets in contention, there's no telling what he could do or the success that he could have, for sure.
Yeah. And that was just really my final point on it, was that none of us will be surprised to see him succeed. He will be, when he's finishing well at some of these big events, some people will be like, huh, who's that guy? And they'll quickly learn of him, and everybody will be over it. So to wrap up, as we've been yapping about him, 373 events. He's got 132 wins. He's still played mainly local, but played 34 tournaments in 2019, cashing in 80% of them or so, and he's been playing for, like you said, a long time. His PDGA number is 23651. So just for anyone, again, we got a lot of newer listeners, for instance, that may not know that Coda is definitely a stud. And in 2018, he played 33 events. So, yeah, that's who we're talking about. You'll hear the name as the year goes on. But
some other Discraft signings. We saw Austin Hannum re-up with Discraft.
Right.
Missy Gannon joined the team.
Yep.
Adam Hammis moved up to your was it the elite team?
Yep.
The elite team. Yep.
I always have to think about all the different manufacturers and what they call their teams and what levels they have.
The good guys.
We saw Haley King move up to the elite team. So we have and Vanessa Van Dyken moved up to the elite team. You guys have it's really funny that for many years, DD was kind of that bastion for FPO players. Like, everyone kind of looked at them and said, "Oh wow, they've got Paige Pierce and Paige at the time Bjerkis and Missy Gannon." I believe it was Missy Gannon, yeah. And they were just like, they have such this great FPO team. And now it feels like you could say the exact same thing, because a lot of those players now are on Discraft. That it feels like Discraft has the FPO team of the future.
Yeah, no, like I said, our moves we're doing are very strategic and for a reason. We want to have the best team. We want to have the best team going into every single tournament, and we want to have top finishers and likable people, hard workers, people not afraid to get their hands dirty, to run clinics, to volunteer their time. That's the type of team that we want. We want a team that in 5-6 years you look at our team and we have the best team, and that's what our ultimate goal is for kids to look up and say, someday I want to be on Team Discraft, and for it to be a big time goal, something that they have to work really hard to do. I want it to be exactly that, not just this easy thing. I want it to be the elite team, the best that disc golf has.
Well, and putting all of your Discraft hat and sponsorship and conversation aside, there was a little bit of a surge and a push today. I'll use your disc, the surge.
I was to say you've now said surge and force when referring to
There you go.
Discraft TV.
You're welcome.
Much appreciated.
Tell me where to send that bill to, Bob. Anyway, but Innova today having a large push for their star team, I'll say either announcements or confirmations. I know we referenced earlier in the show that we're going to see a little bit more European contingency. Evelina and Henna are clearly going to be here battling Paige, Kat, Vanessa, all the women we just discussed. Like, they're going to be a legit force to reckon with. Also seeing Luca Sandvik coming in from Norway. I know she's here in the States right now doing some practicing. I know she's planning on playing here. So there's going to be some fierce competition there. And then other players on the star team that I think were of note and interest today. There was a lot of chatter about the possible landing spot or landing zone for one Calvin Heimberg. And I think there were some negotiations that got kind of all turned around, and we see him landing and remaining with Innova.
I have some inside scoop on that.
Oh, no. Inside scoop, Johnny V.
So my understanding, we've all heard from that Innova tends to be a mostly 1-year handshake deals.
Mm-hmm.
That
go on.
Calvin happily rejoined with Innova, but that he was reluctant to sign a long-term deal with anybody. That was his stipulation, because he does not know what his future is, and he does not want to maintain or be tied down to a particular place, because everyone that knows Kelvin knows that the dude's like crazy smart. I think he's a chemical engineer, University of Florida. Just, he could probably walk into many 9-to-5 jobs and probably easily make more than 6 figures. Maybe not more than 6 figures, in the 6-figure mark. And so disc golf for him, he doesn't know what the future is, but he knows what he could do. So my understanding was that he accepted, he re-signed with Innova because of the single-year contract deal. That was what some of the noise I heard.
You read that on Reddit as well?
I did not read that on Reddit. I spoke with a little birdie, and that it was kind of the understanding that I got. So he's very happy, obviously, to be back with Innova. He's a young phenom, but the future is unknown for him.
Okay.
Known for this next year. So
yeah, I guess so. And I'll quickly run down, as we just did with Discraft, confirming their spots on the star team: Jennifer Allen, Josh Anthon, Greg Barsby, a world champ, Henna, as we just mentioned, James Conrad, Lisa Fakis, Garrett Gerthy, his travel companion in Jessica Weiss, Ricky Wysocki, Nate Sexton, Madison Walker, Jeremy Coling, Kelvin, and I think that's everyone, and Evelina, as I mentioned. So, all right, star team power versus elite team power versus other manufacturers' top teams. Any bold predictions, Yuli? I mean, all bias included. Any bold predictions?
Any bold predictions? No, I don't think. I think this is going to be a great year for disc golf, a good competition. Obviously, you just named some amazing players with who are all getting taken care of, which is the ultimate goal, I think, for everybody, to make sure that the top players are getting good contracts. And with that, then I think play will rise because they're able to travel and be healthy, hopefully, and do the best they possibly can, given their circumstances. So,
okay. Well, and I don't think there was anything too new, but it's also worth mentioning. We said earlier, Dustin Keegan was a transition from the Team Dynamic Disc and ultimately moved over to Discmania. And then other than that, Colton Montgomery remaining. Eagle McMahon is there. Sans braces. He's still with the team, as we know.
Did he get his braces off?
Yep.
Oh, I have not seen that.
I was checking out his grill.
He's looking good.
And
great.
Of course, Simon, as expected. So, a lot of expecteds there. But the new addition being Dustin Keegan. So
that's wonderful. And Dustin, again, is one of those guys I feel like could be a top 10 guy if he toured more. But he tends to stay on the West Coast, with the exception of usually Worlds that he kind of does a small mini tour throughout the country, but for the most part is kind of a West Coast guy. He has all that potential in him. And just he seems like he's very content working with Uplay these days and doing what he needs to do there.
Real quick, chime in on that. Segue. Next week we'll likely have Zoe and maybe Dustin, but Zoe,
nice.
She said she has some great stuff going on with Uplay Disc Golf. She said they're waiting on some big details to unfold over the next 6 days or so, and we may hear from her as one of our featured guests next week. So
that's great, because she used to be a regular contributor, and that spot is still open. Every week I call her, I'm like, "Are you going to contribute this week?" And she doesn't answer my calls, so hopefully now.
Yeah, she's learned to stay away from you.
Most do.
So Yuli, getting back to you know, not playing this weekend, you know, continuing your road to recovery. If you had to really you know, place a wager on when you're going to be throwing your next competitive big tournament competitive round, is that going to be reserved for Memorial? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have my sights set on Memorial. I'm not 100%, obviously. You know, right now there'd be no way, but I'm optimistic about that being my first tournament back, and if I'm not, I would say 80%. I wouldn't play it either. So we gotta wait. I'm about probably 50% back right now. I have quite a ways to go in my recovery, but I'm working really hard, and I don't see why unless I came into a weird road block or something, why I wouldn't be able to make that deadline.
Okay, we are almost exactly, I referenced it earlier, almost exactly 7 weeks away from the Memorial. And when I say that, how what is that? What do you think about during this off season, or what's transpired over the last few weeks or months, knowing that we're starting back up in 7 weeks?
I got a lot of work to do, man. I'm
Okay.
I'm itching to compete and to play. It's been, oh man, how long? June of last year was my last big tournament. I've never gone that long without competing. I even snuck in a C tier a few weeks ago, right before my surgery, and played just because I'd been itching to play for so long. And yeah, I can't wait. And I'm working, like I said, working really, really hard. That's the number one priority right now, is to make sure that I'm back healthy, just for my own sanity.
Yeah.
To get back and play. I mean, I miss the game. I miss competing. I missed. It was tough watching everybody compete last year and watching people get their majors and national tour titles and stuff, and me, you know, sitting there talking about it. So I want to be there. I want to be in the thick of things, and can't wait for sure. I'll do whatever it takes to get back there.
What? Clearly, having this injury, what have you learned about your body and recovery, or even maintenance? Are you going to be doing anything, or are you doing something right now? What type of exercises are you doing? Is this just a freak thing that, like, you can't predict, or is there something that you look at other golfers and go, wow, they should really be doing X, Y, and Z to make sure that doesn't happen to them? How do you prepare?
I think it was a freak accident, honestly. I really do. I don't think that I could have. There were certain circumstances that I probably could have prevented for a little bit longer. But it was like it had to do with a previous injury type thing, for it being misdiagnosed, and it was just like this freak scenario of just this snowball effect that it ended up being as bad as it is. So and then even through my recovery, same sort of circumstances where it was just like all of a sudden, like, I'll even say what it was. I was perfectly fine. I was in the stage of where I just needed 1 month of recovery for the tendon to completely develop into my own tendon type thing, which is where the doctors say the tendon is its most vulnerable. So I wasn't even doing anything, and then I would all of a sudden was in extreme amounts of pain with almost every step that I was taking. So I went in and talked to the doctor. He had no clue what was going on. And he told me that he thinks that my ACL detached again. So I tore my ACL again, even though I wasn't doing anything for that to happen. So I did an MRI, and he was like, I'm willing to bet my house you don't have an ACL. We do the MRI, and my ACL's healthy and attached and all of that stuff. So he's like, okay,
Here's
this
my
is
house.
weird, yeah, I don't know what is wrong with your leg. I have no clue. He did some research, came back. He's like, hopefully in a couple weeks it'll be fine. Came back, no progress, still pain on every step, and he told me that I should think about retirement because he had no clue.
Wow.
So I went through that for another week to where, I went straight home and was just like insanely emotional. Obviously, when you hear, I never thought I'd ever hear that type of news from anybody, much less the doctor. And before I left, I'm like, well, there's got to be somebody you can get me in contact with that'll give me some. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me because I'm not like a football player. I'm not getting tackled like by grown men or anything. I need a 3-step run up to compete. Like I was like, this doesn't, and he told me, he's like, yeah, you're a 31-year-old with a 75-year-old knee. I have no clue what's wrong with you. He's like, I've been doing this for 40 years. I have no clue. None. So he gave me these 3 numbers. I came home, my beautiful girlfriend, she was super supportive and took the numbers, did some calls for me, got me a couple appointments with these people that were specialists in weird cases with knees. First guy that I saw went in there and he's like, oh yeah, I've seen this before. And he diagnosed me with it. So what happens is they put a screw in there to attach your ACL. And this is a long story. Forgive me, but
It's all right. We got time. It's Smashbox.
They go in there and they attach a screw that attaches your ACL to your knee. Your knee then doesn't need that screw anymore, and your body then breaks down the screw, and the screw goes away, and you never see it again. My problem was the acid that your knee creates to break down that screw started attacking my bone and my knee in general. So it wasn't doing anything to the screw that it was supposed to be dissolving. And that's where I was getting all of this pain. So obviously anybody who didn't know that, because this is a super rare case, would be like, there's nothing wrong with you because you can't really see this acid or whatever. So luckily this guy knew. We scheduled the surgery. I was in there 2 weeks later because he was a baller and best doctor ever. Went in there, took out the screw. He told me, yeah, I'd never seen it before. I actually had to pretty much unscrew the screw out of your leg, and this had been 2 months. It was supposed to be already gone.
Did you get to keep the screw?
I did not know.
Oh.
And he took it out, and then
eBay.
He was awesome. It was awesome because he even went in there and he did some more work on my meniscus, which was pretty bad as well. I had a root tear on there, and he did some special stuff with his little tricks that he knew and told me that he fixed that up a bit. And then 3 weeks later, a couple days ago, I played for the first time. So
wow,
it was definitely probably the craziest and most emotionally draining month of my entire life. I'm guessing.
Understandable. I mean, to hear all of those things and
to go from, hey, you need to quit the sport you love to, I got a power tool to get rid of that.
yeah.
It was something that I wouldn't even be able to explain. And after the guy told me to retire, I literally played a tournament that weekend just to spite him because I was so mad that somebody would tell me that.
Smart move.
Well, he literally told me, he's like, there's, you can go do whatever, like, you're not going to hurt it. Like,
yeah, well,
there's
at that
nothing
point,
you basically tell me there's nothing I could do. I needed a wheelchair.
Now, I don't know what is or isn't out there these days. I know there's a lot of conversation as well. We see one of the superstars, I guess he's good, that Macbeth feller withdrew from USDGC last year. He admitted to an injury, talked a little bit about it, and then I think a few weeks ago he maybe even brought it up again on some other silly podcast thingy that doesn't go nearly as long as we do. But I think he shared a few details Have you had any conversations about where Macbeth's health is and how he's feeling or what's going on with him?
Yeah, a couple, but not really talking about his injury. I know that being Macbeth, he's working on it and doing whatever he can to recover from it. So that's not an issue. I think one of the big misconceptions with probably the top golfers, no matter who you are, is what it takes to be one of the best in the world is constant work ethic and constant mobility, working out, fitness, all of these things. And what comes with that is wear and tear on your body, period, no matter what. Like if you're going to be in good shape, you have to constantly be working out, which means you're putting stress on your body just to work out so that you have less stress later on your body. And I think that the top players in the world probably all have some sort of injury that they're dealing with. That's just the way that it is,
Mm-hmm.
and then playing as much as we do, especially for me, I was playing 40 something tournaments a year. I was used to playing in pain. There was always something wrong. But I feel like the big babies out there probably, mention their injuries a bit more, but I guarantee Eagle, Simon, Paul, Garrett, all of these players are playing with some sort of injury, some sort of tweak to their arm, to their leg, to their hamstring, to their hip, to something that's it's just the life of an athlete, period.
Yeah, and I know having conversations with someone like Hannah, for instance, she's talked about that in one of our broadcasts, just about the amount of stress and pressure that is constantly put on all of our athletes, and someone that really drives that point home that we've all come to know in Seth Muncie over at Disc Golf Strong. Just what you guys are going through every single weekend. And then you're not getting in a private jet and relaxing for 3 days to get to the next event. You're getting in an RV, you're getting in a van, and you're trying to make those comforts as best as you can, but you're still living on the road, and that's wear and tear on everybody.
It's something to where from now on I'm not going to be touring full time and doing that anymore, because I see the importance of not doing it. For years and years, I've played 40 plus tournaments a year, and I always prided myself on being in shape and being very, very healthy and working out. And I feel like, really one of the first people to really focus on that. And I think it, what it was, 13 years straight of playing that many tournaments, I didn't have that many injuries. And I think it was, I can attribute it to that. But now moving forward, as I get older, it's harder to stay in shape. It's harder to cut calories and to eat right and do all these things. And it's just like you said, the wear and tear on your body, not just the playing. These courses are getting bigger. The travel as you get older is so much tougher on your body. People don't even realize, driving and then playing, 4 practice rounds on a huge course. Like we're throwing as hard as we can on every single one. Like these courses aren't small. You have to throw as hard as you can on every shot. Every shot. At least I do, especially not being able to, throw these 600-foot bombs like these young kids. And so it's definitely something to where I still want to play, 30 plus tournaments a year. But it's a lot different when I can go play a smaller tournament here at my house and go and sleep in my bed. That's not wear and tear on my body. There's a big time difference to where I can go home, take a bath in Epsom salt soak and be ready for the next morning, rather than, hotel room or somebody's floor, or however I did it for so long. So there's importance to that. And we see the best players in the world, it was trending with Macbeth and Ricky both. It seemed like as soon as they stopped playing that many events, I don't know if Paul really ever played that many events, but even Ken Climo, people that have been highly successful in the game, Nate Doss, didn't play that many tournaments, that many big tournaments. And I think it's definitely time for me to take notice of that, and maybe, that could be the answer to me being even better than I am now. So that's the ultimate goal.
Our little Uli, all growing up.
He's gonna cut back to 30 events a year.
I don't want to. Believe me, I don't want to, man. I want to go out there and play every single event, every single A tier like that. That's who I am. Like That's who I've been for my entire career. I love going to tournaments that the other top pros aren't at, and being able to engage and give people some entertainment and things like that. And it's just not realistic anymore.
Well, it's now more about the practicality and the longevity about how to make this as long-term and as sustainable and practical for the longest period of time. And that's a very mature, although you may not love it, it's a very mature way to start looking at it and thinking about the long term. And
Not only that, I want to be, I want to be here with my girlfriend and her daughter, my dog, and my house. Like those are all things that I enjoy. And this last 6 months, I've had time to think about all of these things.
mhm.
I've had nothing but time, and the one thing that I haven't lost is I want to be a world champion. And maybe this is the one thing I've never done. This is the one area that I've never tried to play less events and do something like this. So I think it all plays into exactly what my goals are, and I want to try to use this injury as a blessing instead of looking at it as a negative.
Well, and thinking about the World Championships, hopefully you're on pace. You continue to improve. Continue to be on the mend, and then a place you're very fond of and familiar with, having the World Championships in Utah. That's obviously that neck of the country already that you're currently in. But you've had some success and some good friendships and some really good times out in Utah. And, things may all piece together at just the right time and just the right place for you.
I definitely think so. I'm super excited about it being in Utah. High elevation. That's where I learned how to play. I feel very comfortable playing at high elevation, and I'm very excited. And that is my main goal, is to be healthy, for the World Championships and making another run. The last time I played Worlds, I was pretty close, so I still have that fire. I still, that taste is still right there at the tip of my tongue, and I want the whole piece, man.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's only getting tougher, and we're none of us are getting younger. So let's see you do it.
I am actually. It's weird. So what? Don't tell anybody. So one of the things that a lot of people maybe don't know is that in this off time, you've been doing a lot of lessons. You've been you've opened yourself up to the teaching aspect of the sport for local players in your area or whomever. Is this something that you want to continue throughout the year as you maybe travel wherever you're going, or is this kind of maybe an off-season venture for you?
No, the one thing that I was able to do, without being able to play, was teach and to get out into the community around here, and really make small efforts to meet new people, to get involved with local clubs, different things like that. And I've had a great response from the local community, and them accepting me into their their clubs and just their little circles of friends and stuff. And it's been just amazing. And then to top it off, I did a couple posts just to see where it would go of lessons, and I got a huge response to where I do 4 or 5 lessons a week, and it's only been growing. It's I get 2-3 people a week that want more lessons, and word of mouth is has been spreading, and it's been becoming more and more popular. And it's awesome. I've been seeing them improve and getting great feedback and things like that, and it's put me in a position to where that's something that I want to do on a bigger scale as well. Maybe it's through YouTube, or maybe it's something else. But I feel like I have a knack for teaching and helping people, explaining in ways that help other people as well. And I would have never known that if this injury wouldn't have happened. So, like I said, I'm trying to take everything as a positive, even though it's really hard because I'm a competitor and I want to do that stuff. But this has opened up avenues that I didn't think were really there, and it's been great.
Do you have anything that that we might think is shocking or crazy or bold predictions for 20, and I'm not just talking about yourself. I mean, this could be courses or events that are coming onto the scene, the tours, anything out there that you're particularly like, wow, 2020 is going to feature this, or we might be shocked by that. Is there anything out there that, kind of jumps on across your radar?
I'm no, not really. I mean, I'm working with the players committee to do a few things with the PDGA. I haven't been really active in the group actually, so I don't want to say that and then have the other committee members like attack me because I've been kind of dormant because of my surgery and different things like that. But definitely have a lot of good ideas as far as that goes, and so definitely look out on a few things that I feel like could really change the game and for the future. And so yeah, there's a couple things probably. I don't really want. It would be a long conversation that we'd have to get into right now if I were to bring up exactly what I'm looking for.
So. Well, and I will go ahead and I'll answer my own question in the sense that I don't think there's anything that I'm thinking about that's revolutionary, that's crazy, that we've never seen before. I mean, we're seeing a pro tour of 10 stops plus the 11th, championship stop. We're again seeing a national tour that's 6 stops. We're seeing our, all of our majors and world championships are all kind of, spread out and doing their own thing. There's nothing, crazy there. I see the Euro Tour maybe a little bit more strengthened, and that's because I've been spoiled to see some of that personally. But I don't know if that's worldwide and revolutionary. So I didn't have anything in mind when I asked that. I just didn't know if you had any fresh perspective on something that I wasn't thinking of. Johnny, do you got any?
I don't. Oh. I have no real big, bold 2020 predictions for as far as the sport goes. I think it would be fun to kind of sit back, and it's hard to do it with Uli here because he has what we call a bias towards specific players. But talk about things like who do we see playing really well in 2020, or do we see anybody coming out of we'll say the mid-tier of players to jump up into that upper tier of players?
Somebody on a bounce back or recovery year.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are all things that could, I suppose, get talked about.
I think one of the probably breakout players who actually was trending very well at the end of last year, and it's not because I'm biased, it's just I feel like if we could all agree that Adam is really trending well.
Of course, phenomenal player. Great set of skills and the youth and enthusiasm. I mean, he really has everything. He's, as they say, checking all the boxes in front of him right now. A great drive, clearly a long distance putt, and on tour with enthusiasm and an eagerness to play and to travel. I mean, really, that's everything you could ask for right now.
Yeah, Adam, it wouldn't shock me to see Adam win a pro tour or a national tour event.
Certainly.
I think the only knock on Adam is he just needs to make sure to keep his emotions in check, because we know that we've seen the past couple of years when things go negative for him, he can internalize that a little bit. And so if he can get over that hump and be able to let that flow past him, I think the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah.
I'm also curious with Kevin Jones, see how well he performs. I mean, he's just constantly getting better. I mean, there's so much young talent right now. We could go on and on and on. And, but you still got to take out the, those 3-4 guys that we all know who they are. So,
well, thankfully, maybe not thankfully, that was the bad way to put it.
Ouch.
Thankfully for the other players, those guys might not be in peak form come early season. We've seen Ricky, who is just starting to get in that recovery. He's starting to play again. Paul, who has already said he's going to miss pretty much all of March. And I was going to say, I mean, other than that, I guess Eagle, who will be recovering or is recovered maybe almost from his boxers.
I think he'll be good to go.
He should be good to go. But those guys are all coming off of some sort of injury or downtime. I think early season for MPO is open game. It is. It wouldn't shock me to see anybody win in that first month or two.
I heard there's some good design, some good changes to Vista as well. Which, if that's the case, and it's not just a Heiser festival, it's going to be early on, at least for the first pro tour of the year. Hopefully, there's a few different names in the mix as far as that goes. I truly feel like course design is the biggest issue with the game right now. As far as having the fields be tighter and more competitive, I think that if the course designs were a little bit more thought out and different things like that, I think that the courses would, or that the fields, it'd be a lot tougher for the top players to win every single weekend.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. I know someone posted it a little earlier in the show that 7 new mandatories were added to the Vista XL layout. I know Keith kind of made a reference at some point as well to a few of the changes that are happening out there, and I know they've been really trying to analyze how they want to tighten things up or make things a little bit more tougher out at that course, and so that'll all play out this weekend, and it will be exciting to see how it goes down for sure.
Are you going? You're not going to be out there this weekend?
So it's only because of some lucky planning and some good airlines. It looks like I will be there for Sunday's, at least Sunday's final round. I don't know if it will work out that I can get there by Saturday or not. I'm actually flying into Vegas at some point. I'm still messing actually with a few of the options in terms of airlines, but right now at some point the cheapest way is to get there, probably spend maybe a night and then drive down and catch up with the action out of Phoenix. And then really I've got an option of how I can get out of Phoenix or Vegas or whatever the case might be, but I'm just trying to do it all on the cheap and get a little action in. Yeah.
Nice,
So
yeah, hopefully, I'm sure it's going to be perfect weather. Obviously, it is
Arizona
pretty much every year.
Yeah,
yeah, it seems like it. We're quite blessed with that.
Okay, Uli, we wouldn't be Smashbox if we didn't question you just slightly about the other sports that are going on in the world.
Right.
We need your NFL picks for Super Bowl, and then we also need your basketball picks, your NBA picks. We are fortunate enough here to be in Milwaukee, so we have Giannis out there.
Giannis, yeah,
dropping threes now. He's uncoverable. The man is the Greek freak. He's the best in the NBA. He is crown him king, as he even said. I'm excited. I think we're going.
He said that.
They played the Lakers at one point,
and
he was dominating, and he made this noise. Like clearly, LeBron, the king. He went like basically crown him king. He's
wow.
That's the type of attitude I like to see out of my players, especially when they're dominating.
Yeah, wow.
So I got no problem with it.
That's a lot better than.
When are we going to see that in disc golf? To where we saw
that would be
phenomenal. We saw the bazooka, and now maybe somebody makes a big putt on Macbeth, and he starts doing this.
I would love that. Or like let's say just because we were talking about Hamas drops down like a 60-footer, turns to Ricky, and just like gives him the throat cut. And
here's what I'll say.
I think this would be phenomenal. We need more of this in disc
golf. I would
golf.
love to see all of that. The times where I want to punch my television is when I see a team down 33 points, guy gets a first down, and he's dancing like he's, just won the damn Super Bowl. That's when I'm like, all right, I don't put it in check.
If I got I think they get paid for each tackle. So if I got a tackle for $30,000, I'd be doing a dance too. I don't get.
I think there are incentives that they have for sure. So
so I don't want to see somebody make a 65-footer, still be down 9 strokes on the lead card, and then like get too wild about it. I don't think you can throw it on the gauntlet at that point.
I'll give you that. I think the Bucks are going to make the finals this year. I don't know if they're going to win, but I think we're making the finals. And I don't know what's going to happen in the NBA. So, Yuli, I'm going to pass the baton to you. Yeah. What do you think's going on?
So NFL, we'll go NFL first. You guys got so lucky. Unbelievable. Like, the facts that Wentz didn't play in that entire game, like, obviously, I live in Seattle now. So, there's Seahawks. It is like nothing I've ever seen.
I would have rather
here are insane.
I would have rather played the Eagles than the Seahawks. I think the Eagles would have been an easier team to beat than the Seahawks.
You're absolutely nuts. The Seahawks have no running game. They barely beat the Eagles without Wentz, with Josh McCown. Like, a dude's 40 years old, hadn't played in 23 years, I think, or something, and they barely got past him. So I'm a realist. Like, you guys are very lucky. The Packers with Aaron Rodgers, you guys have a running game to be able to control the clock. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson is going to have the best game of his life to even have a chance to win that game, because Marshawn Lynch, are you kidding me? That guy's not going to do anything. Like, give me a break. Before that, they had a great chance because they had Carson. They had, I forgot what the other guy's name was, but they had 2 running backs that were just like killing it. And then back-to-back injuries. Yeah, Penny. Back-to-back injuries, and now they have no running game. And guess what? In the playoffs, you have to have a running game. You have to be able to control the clock. Russell Wilson's going to be running for his life the whole entire game, and you guys are going to pull it out. I'm going to say 24-17.
I hope so. I hope you're right there.
Now, who is it? Tennessee, Baltimore? Is that correct? Tennessee, Baltimore.
It doesn't matter. Just pick Baltimore. Everybody does.
Baltimore is going to absolutely destroy them, of course.
Yeah.
And then I think the Vikings are going to upset the 49ers. And the only reason I say
would
that
love
is because again, I think that Cousins is a lot better than people give him credit for. And I think getting that win last weekend and really upsetting the Saints, I think they have great momentum, and maybe he can play with a bit more confidence. Again, they have Cook, who is going to be able to control the clock. I think they probably have the most talented roster as far as offensively in the league, period, with Diggs and Thielen and Cook, and then their big tight end Rudolph. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'd love to be able to throw those guys. And San Francisco has really hasn't been. It's a young team, hasn't been there. Like, well, I think that Vikings have a good shot, and then I think that nobody's really going to get past the Ravens. Yeah, the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl, I think. Unfortunately, which I hate.
I know. As a Steelers fan, that's got to kill you.
Oh, my gosh. And it's my mom's. I told my mom I was going to say hi, and that's a horrible segue into hello, Mom. Because of the Ravens. Unbelievable. That's her team. And she just, I don't know. Sometimes I question.
Why is your mom a fan of the Ravens?
Exactly.
I don't know where the tie is. I mean,
why is there any mom that is a fan of the Ravens?
Do they still have that guy that killed those other guys?
No.
Oh, okay.
Ray Lewis, yes, that is same thing. NBA though, I think the Lakers, if they can stay healthy, which I highly doubtful. Anthony Davis is glass in sneakers. Period. So if they could stay healthy, I think that their team is so big, they'd be able to control the clock in the playoffs. And the Clippers look really good. Obviously, Kawhi Leonard's a beast, and now they have Paul George and Lou. I don't think you guys have enough talent to be able to take either of those teams down. I really don't.
It would be tough. We need our defense to step up.
You need a second superstar, and you don't have one. And so it'd have to be, I mean, Kawhi completely shut down Giannis last year, single-handedly. Like, shut him down, made him a non-factor.
Different team, but yeah, it's fine.
Really? Who do you have?
No. We have Giannis and a bunch of role players. I'm not denying that by any means.
Yeah, Giannis is great, but I don't think he could improve that much in 1 year to be able to take down these superstar teams. You know, like
it's definitely going to be tough. I'm rooting for them, but it will be tough.
And I'm going to tell you this: you do not want to go into a playoff series and then have Russell Westbrook hit any amount of shots with James Harden on the team, because if Russ finds his jump shot in the playoffs, like, that's a tough team to beat, because, I mean, Harden's going to put up 50 points. So if Russ can put up 30, all of a sudden they have the ball the whole time. in all playoffs, in all sports, the regular season doesn't matter. What matters is controlling the clock in the playoffs. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? So
That's what they say in chess too. No, maybe not.
God, wow.
Wow. All right, I can mute him. Hold on. He's going.
Actually,
wild.
we'll talk about this later.
You
I'd
were
like to know how the
we were
chess clock
talking
works.
Basketball, and you brought in chess into.
He said controlling the clock. I don't know how the chess clock works, by the way.
I think you
It's
just.
every turn. Think.
Well, I get that, but like what?
I
For
think
what?
you only have so
10
much time
seconds.
overall for your turns, and
Yeah,
so
you can put however many seconds that you want to play.
Mhm.
So it's not controlling the clock; it's controlling your move with the clock.
Anyway,
Somebody. Yeah.
thanks for
Have
wrecking
you
it,
ever
Terry.
played chess?
I've played it, but I've never played it with a clock.
It's really fun. Actually.
I just see him always whack the clock, and I don't know what that means. I mean, I
see
assume-
Yuli in Central Park with Bobby Fischer, just just dropping.
I love chess. I'll play some chess with you guys.
Yeah, you will.
All right, maybe we'll meet up somewhere and we'll play some chess. It'll be fun. We'll
All
live
right.
stream.
It'll be
Alright.
rousing. Yeah, we'll live stream it. Everybody will. It'll be great.
Sounds good. And
Go ahead. Go ahead.
what's up, man?
So.
I was gonna say, I think another thing I'm excited about is the Conor McGregor, Cowboy fight in, I think it's 7 days. That's gonna be awesome because whoever wins that fight is probably gonna fight George Masvidal, and Masvidal is gonna just beat up somebody.
Who do you
Yeah,
think's
it's
going to
gonna be-
win between Connor and Cowboy? I mean, Connor hasn't, since what, September of
Connor's a
2018?
really good. It depends on how good of shape Connor is because he hasn't been in fighting shape in a while.
Because
been
he's drinking all his whiskey, right?
Yeah, a bunch of whiskey. So I think if he can take him down in the first 2 to 3 rounds, I think Connor wins. If it goes the whole distance, I think Cowboy wins.
Well, that's what they talk about, Cowboys' longevity. Yeah, I read that same article. All right, Yuli.
What did that article exactly say?
It basically said exactly said that though. It talked about Connor, if he gets to him early, that it'll be totally in Connor's favor.
Has he
And
tried
if
a
there's
flying knee? I heard that
if
works.
there's any length to the fight whatsoever, that it would probably be in Cowboys' favor. I mean, that was almost word for word what I read earlier. So
right.
That's all.
Have you ever thought about doing any YouTube or Instagram where you bake cookies? That seems to be real popular with the
Yeah,
with the pros these days.
Yeah, Paul,
Yeah,
Simon,
love
Ricky.
cooking. I just got done cooking a nice chicken salad. I oven roasted my chicken salad with nice seasonings, and it was really great. Even Olivia, who's 10 years old and hates salads, went for second. So
Nice.
feeling pretty
Bravo.
good about my salad I cooked today.
That a boy. Good job, Yuli.
You should be
Thank you.
filming that,
Thank you.
Yuli. Put that out there.
Yeah.
Everyone likes to see people cook.
What Yuli's cooking.
No.
That sounds like a segment right there. What Yuli's cooking.
What Yuli's cooking?
Yeah.
No, because my recipes are really good, so I can't give away those
Secrets.
old
Oh.
family recipes.
I was going to say, your mom's the cook in the family, right, though?
Oh yeah, owned a couple restaurants,
Yeah.
sold them for big time profit. Cooked for us our whole lives. It doesn't matter if it's veggie, we were vegan. Everything was good that my mom cooked. She's an amazing cook.
All right, buddy. Thank you for checking in with us. We're going to let you go.
God, how many viewers do we have? Like three left. After
3,000.
221 just on YouTube.
Just on the
Yuli.
YouTubes and like 2,150 on.
Yeah, I assume there's a
We gained-
couple
we-
thousand
on
on
Facebook.
Facebook.
We gained a little traction. That's
We
nice.
did. Everyone wants to hear how you're doing, what your recovery time is. I think everyone's eager for you to be back by Memorial. So I think people are excited to hear that you're on pace, whether or not you're going to be 100% for Memorial or 90%, but
Oh man,
ultimately
it's been incredible how many people reach out and just to ask and just the support, and it's nice to feel like I wasn't forgotten out there, sitting
No.
back here, and I got a lot of people saying like that they miss me, and that stuff goes so far. People don't even realize how far that goes.
And that is honestly a fear when you step away for 6 months, because with the way our sport is growing so fast, there are names that just pop up out of nowhere. And it's probably really easy to think I'm going to be left behind if I don't get out in front of the spotlight.
Not really. Not really a big fear, bud.
Mhm.
I don't know. People might forget
We got you. We got you though.
I mean, we got you here, but we're old.
I appreciate
So.
you guys. I appreciate you. We got 220 people that aren't forgetting. So
Well,
we're good to
and
go, man.
honestly, I'll admit a lot of them are here because we told them. I think we prefaced it and said earlier that we'd be giving away a sponsorship,
A Discraft
a
sponsorship.
Discraft team sponsorship. We've just figured that,
Oh, no.
that you
Yeah,
were going to give one of those away as well. So
It
Yeah.
seems virtually weekly. So
there's going to be a drawing later.
Yeah, all you need is what was it, 132 PDGA wins, and
Yep.
then you can have a sponsor. I'll give one away for whoever that guy is. I doubt that there
Or
are
girl.
very many of those out
girl.
there. Yeah.
All right, Yuli, we've had enough.
All
Here.
right, guys.
No, but we
Yeah.
do appreciate it. It is always good to hear and see you, and looking forward to your continued recovery. It sounds like you're on the right path now, and we hope that you turn that 50 or 60% into a full 95 or 100% come Memorial. Looking forward to it. Just
I really
7
appreciate
weeks away.
it, guys. Yeah,
Yep.
you guys are awesome, and I watch you guys every week still, and gives me something to do on Tuesday. So I appreciate you guys.
it's the
The
that's the
big
most
old-
resounding
big old goofballs. Yeah.
support. Yeah, Tuesday night. I watch you because you give me something to do.
That slogan's getting put on a disc. All right, have a good night, Yuli. Appreciate it, buddy.
Good night, buddy.
Yeah, you guys too. Later.
See ya. Again, Paul Ulibarri joining us.
I feel like I need to end all our shows like this.
A good update, both disc golf related and otherwise. The life, the trials, the tribulations, the updates, the recipes, we get it all. Yuli brings it.
Truly, I was glad to have him on because we talked. He's still popping. He just like popped back up.
Go
on his
away.
guy. I'm
No,
gonna
we
hang
still
up
hear
on
him. Yeah, somebody hang up on that guy. Pull the plug, cut off his internet, block his IP, get him off my screen,
You guys
all right?
couldn't hear it. He like suddenly popped up on our screen, off screen, in the Disc Bear and Digital Green Room. He wouldn't leave.
All right, we're going to close things out. Then we
Yeah,
can
I
get
was
into
gonna say
some
I
after
spoke
show.
to Yuli a couple weeks ago, and he had told me about the possible retirement talk. So I was really glad to get him back on.
Yeah, we're all lucky. So we are going to close out our first podcast here of 2020. Of course, stick around for the after show as Yuli proclaims it's still something to do on Tuesday nights. Stick around for that. We're going to have a giveaway. We'll have some stuff that you can win. If you are a Patreon supporter or subscriber to us, we appreciate you and we like you more than our non-Patreon supporters. We're pretty blunt about that, and and we don't hide that. But we hope you can join us. We want to thank, of course, Hannah and Dustin from Eagles Wings for joining us tonight, giving us an update on everything that includes their trip to Zambia and the great mission work and disc golf love and growing of the sport that they're doing over there, along with the junior grant program that should be up and available for you guys on Wednesday, January 8th. So hopefully you've applied for that and get that in as it's due mid-February. For Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, this has been podcast number 279, the first one of 2020. We'll see you guys in the after show when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SmashBoxx TV's podcast 279.
After show.
First after show 2020. Should we have an after show resolution or
No.
prediction forecast?
Oh, prediction? I would say
Anything?
resolution is different than prediction.
Yeah, sure. I was throwing out any one of those, though. I know they're not synonymous. I was just throwing them out there.
I was having a conversation with a disc golfer today, and we were rattling off like the 5 top FPO players. Like Paige and Kat, Evelina, Henna, and Tatar. I think safely say. I mean, you could throw Sarah Hokum in there if you want. I think maybe a Paige Shue. I think
Lisa Fakis, Jessica Weiss.
No.
Okay.
No.
But okay.
I don't think.
I mean, if you're going strictly rating, and
I don't think you can put them in the top 5. Sorry.
Okay. No, that's fine.
I believe they're great golfers, but I think the 5 FPO players that I named are the top 5.
Yep. Okay.
How many national tour, pro tour, majors won't be won by one of those 5 this year? This is our prediction portion of 2020.
Oh. I would say only.
It's about 20 events total between all the majors, the pro tour, and the national tour. How many of those will not be won by one of those particular top 5?
Yeah, as the board is erupting, and it's a valid question. Are you or are you not including Hokum in there?
It's really difficult because I think Sarah Hokum really excels at the more finesse-based courses. We saw that last year. She plays well in the woods.
Sure. Okay.
I think
some of these tournaments are in the woods.
I agree. But I have a hard time. I think she is. I just think she's a solid. Like she is that sixth place player. And would it shock me if she won MVP? Not at all. Green Mountain, go for it. Like those are legitimate events that I think she has a good chance of winning.
Waco
would be another good one that is clearly forehand friendly. As we've seen, like Jeremy Colling has always been very dominant at Waco. I just have a hard time with her breaking into that top 5 when it feels like these days she just doesn't quite have the distance that these other women have. And the shot selection. I mean, she's dominantly a forehand player.
Mm-hmm.
The other women are predominantly backhand, but I would say they have a better forehand than Sarah has a backhand. If you wanted to compare.
Sure.
So to me, it's hard to put Sarah, to crest Sarah into that like solidified top 5 based on last year's outlook.
Yeah,
it's just tough, and I love Sarah to death.
I know. Personal feelings aside, I understand. I mean, if we're again, this is just purely objective ratings. If you're going by ratings, you've got Pierce at 979, Allen at 977, Henna at 972.
I didn't even think about Allen, which is funny. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking the other Allen, Jennifer Allen. I was like, I don't think of her in the top 5.
Henna at 972, Kristen at 968, and then the 5th highest is 966 rated Sarah Hokum, and 6th highest, just 2 points behind her, is Evelina. So as you're saying, those are, and then there is a 14-point difference to get to Valerie Mondahano. Clearly, those 6 are ratings-wise are in fact your top 6 rated women, with technically Sarah being in that 5th spot. Sarah put an end to. I'll say, what was it? Paige's dominating opening season of her season a few years ago when Sarah won San Francisco. Which is another event, of course, on the Pro Tour that we'll see this year, which some had said, like, that's not necessarily a technical
not at
or
all.
short course at all. It was exactly the opposite, and Sarah took that down. I think Sarah can win on any course.
Of course she can.
There's clearly courses that just suit her better than others when you're comparing their skill sets.
I feel the same way about Jeremy Colling. He could win on any course.
Sure.
But there are courses that just seem to suit him better than other courses.
So, yeah, I
mean,
don't know.
All right, I'll expand it to top 6 just for whatever. So take the top 6.
Then I don't want to be a jerk, but I don't know who's going to win a big event that one of those top 6 don't win.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at the list. Clearly,
last year, Paige Bjerkes Shoe won Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, clearly it's open for anybody. It's just a matter of finding. It's going to be very difficult for the FPO field, for the rest of the FPO field, to step in, because you could always say, well, maybe if I catch Kat and Paige on an off day, I can win. That's gone, because if you catch Kat and Paige on an off day, you also need to catch Hokum, Henna, Evelina, Kristen.
Yeah, you got to get past all of them as
it's
well.
Just
it's
not
yeah,
likely.
when as the board continues to talk about, and is entirely true, anytime we have that European contingency here and present at the events, they're always going to be in the mix, shaking that up. And so it won't be just a matter of getting past, like you said, the Page and the Cat. It will be, you will have to get past them. Plus, there's going to be that additional layer or those other peers right there with them. It will be interesting. And the ones that we see mostly on tour that have the best chance of doing just that, you include Rebecca Cox, Paige Shue, Lisa Fakis, Jen Allen, Madison Walker, Jessica Weiss, Haley King.
Haley King, I think, could make that jump into that elite status. She has the distance.
Sure.
She has the backhand and the forehand. She has some pretty solid putting. She just, again, kind of like what I said about Adam Hammes, she needs to work on that mental game, get that package all complete before I think she can really take that next step. But she was kind of my setup, is that I think if someone's going to jump into that victory this year, it might be her.
Okay. And then, of course, the young gun in the Young family, who have now picked up sponsorship, who are probably going to play a little bit more. Heather Young is she obviously is somewhat unassuming, because we only saw her at a couple of events, and who knows what we're going to see her at in future events. But someone like her, you could show up and is going to have a good finish. Now, does she have enough to take down some of those other players? I'm not sure about that. Over the course of a 3 or 4 round event. And then Missy Gannon, we all know she's obviously good as well. So, and that's just rounding out, your top 20 or 25 women, and then you could go from there. So, it's going to be tough to answer your original question. If you're talking about those 6, and will anyone break through for an outright win in a large scale event that's not of those top 6, I don't see it happening. I just don't.
Nor do I. I think that I don't think this
year.
And
not such a bold prediction.
No, not
by
at all.
Either of us.
Not
in saying
at all.
That.
So here is my next question for you. Assume we have about 20, and I'm going to put in quotes, major events, big events, large scale events. How many different MPO victors will we get? Just different. You don't have to make predictions on who or what. How many different players will we win these events?
7 to 8.
7 to 8? 78, you said?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to have a few of your guys that are going to win multiples, but I really think we will have 7 or 8 different winners on the MPO side. I don't think it's going to be, 4 or 5. I think it'll be more than that. I think 7 to 8.
Okay.
What do you think?
I was going to say 6, but
you can be wrong.
I mean, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. I just feel like I'm not going to say so much more competitive. I don't think that's the right way to phrase it.
No, because I was just going to say the FPO field feels like it's the most competitive it's ever been. It used to be, last couple of years, it felt like a Paige and Cat battle. Literally, we have 6 different women now that will walk up, and it's not shocking when one of them wins. I think anyone other than that 6, it's a great talking point. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe XYZ won this weekend. What a great weekend they had. For the men, I mean, there's
at least a dozen where you're like,
yeah,
okay, yeah, they had a good weekend. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, some will have to have a great weekend. Some will have to play out of
Yes.
their mind. Some will
Yes.
have to be somebody will have to take advantage of a few of our players, maybe overseas, that are playing in a Euro Tour event. So the field is a little lighter. So you're going to negate a Paul or a Simon or an Eagle that are maybe overseas, and there's a large scale event still going on here. And so someone else has an easier chance to get in there and claim a W. But yeah, I think easily 7 to 8 overall when it's all said and done. All I care about, I will reiterate for the final year, is that a non-U.S. player does not win MPO or FPO Worlds.
It's getting tougher and tougher,
Only
buddy.
from a purely selfish perspective
You
that I
bet.
lose $100. I have a
it's-
standing bet with Chris Finn of Dude out of Australia, where we placed a bet that he said at least 50% of the world champions, however we word it, basically that some non-U.S. player would win Worlds, and the cutoff for that is this year's Worlds, is the 2020 Worlds.
Carolina Chainbanger says, Calvin, 2020 breakout year. I think you're off by a year. I think it was 2019 was Calvin's breakout year.
Yeah, I mean,
winning two national tours and then
winning the national tour.
And then winning.
Yeah, he bookended the national
Correct.
tour.
He won 2 national tour events and then won the national tour series. Plus, technically, I think he won the Pro Tour finale, didn't he? Was he? Or was that not?
No.
Oh no, he wasn't. I don't know if he was there actually.
You mean when he went toe to toe with Chris Dickerson?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's right.
And C Dick won.
C Dick won. That's right.
Dude, he's got a
So long
special
ago.
Savage shirt.
I saw that.
And congratulations. I did not see all the exact details or the finals of it, but Chris Dickerson was selling his bag and or discs along with it and trying to raise money for an armed forces related cause. It raised somewhere around $1,100 or $1,200. So just huge kudos to Chris and his wife, Brittany, for spearheading that and making it happen. I apologize. I don't know every detail, but I know it was for a good cause. They were very selfless in what they were doing, and he was raising money to give away. So I applaud that at every level. I think it was around $1,100 or $1,200 though, which is awesome. Daryl is saying it will be interesting. Make a number of how many unique winners, and let's compare them at the end. He's saying 12 unique winners.
12 unique winners
on the MPO side
out
alone.
Out of basically around 20 events that I think we have, because I'm not counting the Pro Tour finale because I don't know how that format is going to be yet.
Sure.
So I just count the 10 Pro Tour events, the 6 National Tour events, and then like the 4 majors.
Yeah, he's saying National Tour, Pro Tour, Worlds.
12. That's a big number, I
No,
think.
it won't be 12 different winners. No way.
We'll see.
No way.
It could be.
No, it won't be.
I'm not saying it will
I will
be. I'm
rig
saying
it.
could
If
be.
the 12th is about to win, I will yell during a putt and make it. No, I don't think 12. There will be 12 different winners in all of those events. Yeah, we have too many.
Do you have any bold predictions for 2020, whether it be PDGA, whether it be players, events, anything that comes to mind as far as
the only thing that
hot takes?
the only thing that I won't, and this isn't a bold prediction, and I'm completely biased in saying this. I remember a year or two ago, Paul Macbeth talking about playing some different events, because we see a lot of the same events, and of course, I mean, they're on the national tour, they're on the pro tour, and he was okay with venturing out, skipping. This year, for instance, he wasn't at Beaver State Fling. I think he stayed. I think he was actually international at the time, or at one point, I know he stayed in Virginia for the 2 days in May versus going to some other big event. What I'm getting at, though, is I think that's going to become a real thing.
Players skipping these national and pro tour events for other larger scale or more fun events?
Yes, I do, and here's why. I at first I thought that was crazy. Like, why wouldn't you go to the best events to win the biggest amount of money? You know, that makes sense to me when you're already the best in the world. That mentality of, well, I could go anywhere, I could potentially win anywhere. Why would you go somewhere else where the payout's probably going to be less? And after experiencing, even just from a media perspective, experiencing some of the other events that aren't on the tours, there's a whole lot of life out there, man. Like, just truly the variety.
Yeah,
that's
of
my
course.
point. The variety is more enticing than I thought it would be. And this year I missed a couple of events that I've pretty religiously been at, and it was probably because of a contract to be covering another event, and to go to this other event and be like, this other event is pretty damn awesome as well. And I'm really getting at, I think that might become more of a thing, because some of these players will feel like the actual tour schedule and those events on those courses with the same things going on year after year, as great as they may be, might actually get a little stale. And I think you will see players at some point come to that realization. Oh, okay. And this is not to take away from any of these great events.
Any particular event.
Of course not. They're all great events, but there's more life out there. There's a little more variety out there. So I think that's going to be something we're going to experience in the next couple years. And you, of course, you see that when someone like Simon releases a video and he's like, oh, I'm going to this event. And then 100 people say, oh, man, I'm having this event that same weekend. You should come here. Whether they're being pulled there, whether it's a personal interest, whether it's a logistical reasoning, you're going to see more players branch out a little bit.
I don't think so.
Okay, you can be wrong again.
I think you're going to see Eagle again go overseas, as he seems to want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've already seen Paul's schedule, so I know he's going to skip a few, and I think he's got one or two small events rattled up. But I still think most of the players are going to go to the biggest events. And I don't see there being a lot of big-name players going to skipping these big events to go to smaller events. They will go to some of these other events, but I don't see them skipping most of them, because most of them don't have the luxury of a Paul, Ricky, Eagle, and Simon. They just have to go. It's almost a requirement in order to be able to maintain a particular lifestyle. I would love to see it. I'd love to see more variety. I think there are plenty of events in our country that have a very fun, unique spin to them, or aspect, or something that really makes them unique. I just don't know.
Yeah, I think we will see some, and I'm not saying just this year. I'm not like, I don't think there's any bold like, oh, well, I know of 9 guys that are all skipping 9 different NTs or PDGA or Pro Tour events. I'm not suggesting I know something of that nature. I just think we're going to see that trend slowly develop in the next few years, because going to the exact same event at the exact same time of year, albeit is the tour and is the schedule, I think at a certain point, everyone's going to realize, you know what? I'm going to skip this year. I'm going to lay low. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to do something else. And they'll find that large scale A tier that's 300 or 500 miles the other direction, where they can link right back up with the tour the next weekend. I think we're going to see that. But anyway, other questions from the board. I don't know if anything else is coming in. Cool One asked if Uli is healing and touring this year. We kind of did touch on that to recap. He says he's healing up. He's gone through a little bit of a setback, but now he's back on the right track, and he will not be playing this weekend, for instance, down at the Shelley Sharp in Arizona. But he's hoping to have a recovery come the Memorial.
When will Val and Nate Doss come back? I don't think it's going to be this year.
No.
I think that they're still dead set on building their business. I don't know if it's going to be in the next 2 years.
Yeah,
this year or next year. I think that they, until they really can solidify that business, which is tough with any small business, but on top of that, a restaurant/craft brewery, I just don't know if we're going to ever really see them back on tour ever again. I would love to see Nate and Val back out there because I think give them a month of solid practice and they're right back there in their top 5 positions. I don't know though. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's in the future for them.
I don't think we're going to see them play events, a select few events, but you're never. I'm going to go ahead and say you're never going to see them on a 4 or 6 week tour. I do not think that's ever going to happen. When they're 2 of the owners over there at Bevel and they have 3 or 4 or 5 employees and they're 40 to 80% of the work staff, you're not going to probably see that happen. And that's where they want to be, and that's what they want to be focused on, and that is where their career and I think a lot of their future goals and aspirations are. I think we'll see them play golf again, but we're not going to see them. You're not going to see the blue van, baby blue van, out on the road for 4 to 6 weeks at a time. Not with them in it or driving it anyway. Maybe they'll put it on loan.
I feel really bad. Disc Golf Nerd sent me a top 3 discs of 2019.
Ouch! And you didn't play it.
And I didn't play it. I downloaded it and completely forgot about it.
Sure.
Because he sent it like a week or so ago.
2020 gaff already.
Yeah, totally right. First 2020 gaff. So we'll get to that next week. I promise. There, Disc Golf Nerd. We'll have that on there. Someone asks. I think Daryl Morris here asks Terry and JV, so you guys are working the Disc Golf Pro Tour, any other events? We do have all of the Disc Golf Pro Tour events, all
11
inked into our calendar.
Mm-hmm.
GBO as well, we have inked into our calendar. That's really it at this point. We do have some, we've put in a few quotes, bids, I guess would be the suggestion, for another NT or 2. We have an idea possibly for an NT event. And Worlds apparently is going to be an RFP. So once we see or hear more about that from the PDGA, we'll submit for that. And I always feel pretty confident about us getting Worlds for a couple reasons. One, we've done it we're a known commodity. We work really well with the PDGA. They've always supported us with the live broadcasts. So you can probably count on us for live, but it's still very early on that, and nothing's 100%. But I do have it penciled. I have that one penciled into my calendar.
Yeah, and that's what we're looking at from a live perspective. Stuff could still come up. Things are always in the works and whatnot, but that's what we're looking at currently from the live perspective. Cool One asks, who are Foundation Disc Golf and why is Macbeth in many of their videos? There are a couple of guys that are from Liberty University. I believe they're both married as well. Both have significant others or wives that play disc golf as well. And so all of them coming from Liberty University, where Hannah went to school and graduated from. So there's the literal, or should I say, the proximity and the connection there. So he has been working with the guys over at Foundation Disc Golf, hence why you see him in videos, doing podcasts, things of that nature, a physical close proximity. And of course, he's teamed up with them in, some promotional and marketing type endeavors. So that's how it all ties together, if that makes sense. How many weeks until wintertime open? That's a good question. And it will be interesting this year. I think there was an announcement that Macbeth is sponsoring it.
He's the lead sponsor.
He's the title sponsor?
Title sponsor, sure.
Sure. Like lead sponsors the real phrase and title sponsors the made up phrase.
I'm just saying, whatever. He's he's the head sponsor. I don't know if title sponsor was officially the name given to what he's doing or what what the Paul
Let's just call him the financier.
Financier. He's the backing.
That's how we usually refer to it, as the financier. But with him not playing, I know that's kind of been a big conversation piece for many years. That's usually been kind of the kickoff, so to speak, of his particular season. And we've seen some great battles take place there with Eagle and a lot of other players throughout the years, Philo, Rico, a lot of those guys. But as far as we're in the loop that Paul won't be playing in that event. I want to say that's February. I'm sure a quick Google search could find it, but that's probably I don't know, 5-ish weeks away, because it usually goes that event, then Vegas, then Memorial. So backtrack from there, if that helps you at all. Terry, will you be actually at Jonesboro? The question is. I think that's what you meant. Yes, I will physically be there, and I will add on to that. Thank you for the intended or unintended segue. I got an email alert today from Brad over at Jonesboro Open saying that they are a qualifier for the USDGC this year.
Oh,
so,
excellent.
Putting a little extra prestige and pressure on that event. So very excited to see that unfold at Jonesboro. And yes, I am planning on physically being there, as far as I know, being a Pro Tour event. I will be on site this year, as opposed to last year when I was in Texas, I think. Does my flight have a layover in the Middle East? I head to Qatar on the way to Thailand on Monday. No, my flight does not. Some of you know, in a week or two, 2.5, I will be going from Arizona's Maricopa Open to then a layover in Taipei, and then Taipei over to Thailand. So I thankfully won't have hopefully no interrupted flights or challenges flying on that side of the world in a few weeks.
TJ Seneca asks, what's up with commentary this year? Do we get Terry commentary? Do we get commentary?
No, me and Common are going to do it.
That would be awesome.
I said that a few years ago. Some people didn't find as much humor in as I did, but I thought Common and Terry, like, that would be pretty.
I would get a chuckle out of that. It's funny, TJ. I know I said earlier how I feel like there's a dozen things I need to do, and I just don't know what those dozen things are. That is one of the aspects of the Disc Golf Pro Tour that still is in limbo, and that to us, correct. I don't know if Jeff has a plan or not. We haven't been in really communication the past probably 2 weeks due to the holidays. Before the holidays, I know I sent out an email with a bunch of information to Jeff and the Pro Tour, kind of getting them prepped for as far as hardware, what we need, and things that we need to figure out. But I don't know what's going on with commentary. I think the plan, like normal, is to have Terry as a sideline reporter, and I know you'll be doing some other things when we're on site, but as far as actual commentary, who the commentators are going to be, I don't know yet. And that to me,
or where they'll be located,
that which always makes me a little nervous. I want to know everything as soon as possible, just so I can kind of prep for it. I don't know what I'm going to prep when I find out, but at least I would have a general idea. And I think that is still a little bit in the air. I hope that we're going to find out in the next 2 weeks, but I don't know. Honestly, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and as you continue to follow up, Glenn says, let's see a Champs versus Smashbox. That would be not a good idea to have the good people play against.
Now, if he means no, that's not good. like Simon and Eagle and Macbeth and Ricky against us.
No,
probably not pretty unless they're all playing left-handed and worse shot. I think we have a chance.
Then we could beat them.
I think we have a chance.
But if there was somehow mixed in for a fun round, yeah, that could be fun. Our Nate and Val commentating, I guess, as Johnny just said, that also up in the air. Not sure. Jeff is TJ is then saying, "Hey Jeff, Disc Golf Pro Tour, we want Terry." Well, we appreciate that. Jomez versus Smashbox, that would be a good fun battle.
The funny part is, a couple of years ago when we played against them at GBO, Terry and I beat them. I don't think I'm way less confident now than I was like 3 or 4 years ago that we would beat Jomez, because they're on the road a lot, and I think during their off time they get a lot of chance
to go out and play
disc golf. So I believe they would probably beat us these days.
Probably.
But it would be fun to have that competition.
Shout out. I believe Jonathan had a birthday yesterday.
He did. Happy birthday.
Shout out to Jonathan. And as I said in multiple places, disc golf's better because of his vision and hard work and the team he has assembled and surrounded himself with. So thank you for everything, Jomez. Love Val and Nate, but their commentary isn't your favorite, Jim says. Okay. Fair enough. Everyone has an opinion. Foundation beat Paul, but they had 2 shots and he used just Luna's. Yep, sounds about what was probably needed. They make fun content. Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to see Simon continues to come out with really interesting and unique content. And I know he released this Crazy Lines video, which I did not get a chance to watch. But then I was just thinking, like, we're going to have a top pro in town in Philo next week. And I was thinking, is there a special way that I want to do something a little bit unique with him? It's winter, and I don't know how much what the weather will or won't be like when the one day we are together. Is there something cool we want to do outside?
Hear Philo playing the snow for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, playing in the snow, is that exciting?
Even though we don't have any snow, and I don't think we're forecasted to really get any.
Yeah, so but trying to constantly come up with innovative things to now put into videos, and I give Simon a ton of credit. Excuse me, he's been pretty creative. Like, to sit down with his boss in UC to watch his every double bogey or worse on the year, like, that was a really clever idea. So it'll be interesting to see where everyone kind of pushes their content. And now, is it going to be tough to go out and do a video that doesn't look like you've just copied someone else's idea, namely Simon's? That I'm not sure about. But keep up the good work, Simon. I'll say that much.
Daryl Morris asks if there's anything new coming in the live broadcasts. Nothing. I don't believe anything, we'll say, from production side, because I don't know what exactly the Pro Tour is going to do on their side. Nothing earth-shattering. We're obviously hoping to always cover more cards. I think that was something that Jeff was very adamant about, was we have all 4 of our live view units available to us at any given time for most of the broadcast so that we can go to other cards if needed. So I think maybe this year you're going to get, I'm hoping, I don't think I'm going on a limb and saying, hopefully we're going to see a little bit more golf than what we've seen in the past. But I don't think you're going to see much that's really earth-shattering, that's really unique or really awesome, phenomenal live graphics, because a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, is in the 6 to 7 digits to put that into a live broadcast. But there has been some talks about that, and a lot of that would be working with UDisc and a couple of things. And I just think that this particular off season really, it was a lot of, for the Pro Tour at least, I think there was a lot of getting your eggs together.
Yeah.
Because with Jeff and Todd coming on, that the first and foremost they want to do is make sure they have a solid production. You know, focusing on some of those, we'll say, what's a good way to put this? Focus on some of those extras, so to speak, like graphics and things. It didn't really fall into this year's agenda. So what we're hoping is that let's get a good broadcast together. Let's get a really great format where everyone knows what they're doing. You know, this year SmashBoxx is doing some, we're working slightly different than even we did last year, than what we've done in the years before that. I'm really hoping that we can put the frosting on the cake in 2021. So that's kind of where we stand right now. But, things change and we can always progress come middle of the year. If we really find a groove the first 2 or 3 events, maybe Jeff comes at us and says, hey guys, I think we really know what we're doing. Let's branch out. Let's try a couple new things. And I'm hoping that happens because I'm always up for messing things up.
Well, I would like to say I'm always up for improving, not messing things up.
Well, usually when you try to improve, you mess something up before you improve.
True,
so
true.
It's always that. So I'm always up to try to mess things up in order to get better. Sometimes it works on the first try, but
TJ is also asking about FPO being live. And as far as we know, again, we have not nailed down every detail, but we pretty much foresee FPO live in the morning and then going to MPO live in the afternoon in a similar pattern or format that you've seen for the last few years. So I would assume that will not be changing at all. And then as asked, if we're going to see or hear more player interviews, again, if I'm on site for every single event and we have the man or woman power to be able to facilitate things more like either in-round interviews or interviews immediately following a round for certain players, we certainly want to integrate more of those into the broadcast as well. Those are great to do. It is always really good to have Coda Hatfield, throw that name out there again. When he comes in and in the first round, and he was an earlier tee time, and he's got the hot round, to have that conversation with him as we're waiting, a couple of hours yet for the rest of the round to finish for the card that we're covering. I think those are the types of things we want to integrate more. So.
And I'm really hoping, and obviously, like I said, we haven't talked about it because the position hasn't even been filled yet, that whoever gets hired for the Pro Tour as maybe kind of a video editor can take some of those things, even if we don't get them live, those interviews, cut them overnight so that we can play them the next day. Hey, look, Coda's on the lead card because he shot the hot round. We caught up with him at the end of last round.
Yeah.
Let's get that stuff together. So, goals, relationship goals.
All right. Also asking, Porch, I love your thinking. He says, he or she says, I'll kick you guys down some production money when I win the Powerball tomorrow. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, you don't have to wait, really. If you want to get a jump start on that,
make an advance.
You could just do that now and just assume that that money will then be coming to you later. Will there be a female production company in 2020? I have not heard of one assembling. Not to say I would, but I have not personally heard of anyone. I would love to see it, and it would be awesome. I don't even know what else to say to that other than it would be awesome. It would be awesome. Because I feel like at that point, if assuming they wanted to be focused on FPO coverage, which they may or may not, but let's assume they did, I would love to see them take every step to give the FPO coverage everything that they would want to see in FPO coverage. Of course, I try to do the best I can. SmashBoxx does. All the other crews try to do the best that they can to put out and to work with FPO coverage. I feel like I've kind of led that more than most. I would love to see another company come in and do a 10 times better job than I've ever done and spearhead all FPO coverage and have more subscribers than Jomez. Like there's nothing that we would lose by that happening. Nothing. And I would help facilitate it in any way possible. Unfortunately, I don't know if you guys know this. There's not a lot of money in most disc golf media production. So there's not exactly a line for that job.
No. Cool One asks, is it true to say that you have more resources, camera staff, etc., than you've had for any year prior for live SmashBoxx coverage? I don't necessarily know if that's the case. I think that a lot will depend on what we hear from Jeff. In the past, not this past year, but let's talk about the year prior to that. Let's talk about 2018. SmashBoxx was in control of hiring all the cameramen, all the travel, and everything like that. I had Gary usually here doing graphics. We were more in control of the crew itself. This year, it looks like we're going to be hired by the Disc Golf Pro Tour, Terry and I. They are probably going to be controlling hiring of some cameramen, some editors. I'm hoping, like I said, that we're going to see more back-end editors. That's not like a porno thing. That's we're talking about I want to say post-production, but more edited pieces that will have more access to that with an additional person or two. I think we're going to have 3 to 4 cameramen, hopefully at every event. So that's kind of on par with what we had for last year. I've debated whether or not I want to reach out to maybe somebody at UW Milwaukee here and maybe put a job offering up to have somebody here like what Gary was doing, like an instant replay person, somebody that would that is maybe a little, that's easy to teach and very consistent and can, we can rely on to come every week. Not that Gary wasn't, it's just that Gary has a full-time job and he's a very busy guy. So I would like to see that. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, just because I think we could really knock out some really cool stuff with one more set of hands here that is focused on maybe nailing out some highlights right away or post-production or being in charge of, throwing those highlights right to social media. I think would be awesome. Being able to take a huge putt, export it from my system right to theirs and have them be able to just upload it to Facebook under the Pro Tour umbrella and say, hey, look what we have. Look at this, come tune in. I that's kind of how I foresee the future. I don't know if we're getting there this year or not.
The short answer I would like to say is I think we're going to have more resources, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of where there are some ways I think we're going to have an improvement, and in some ways it won't necessarily be an improvement. So,
yeah, there's some places where we're not. I don't want to say we're not going to make an improvement, but we're not. It might just be.
There might not be an increase.
It might be. It'll
word.
be as good as it has been, and there'll be some places where we do improve. I don't think we're going to be falling back in any particular any particular spot.
Okay. As you continue to leave comments or put comments on YouTube, that's what we're following along, where we get a little bit of the direct questions that you guys are asking. Feel free. It's been a couple weeks since we've been here. I think we've at least glossed over most of the sponsorship conversations that have unfolded. I think personally, and it was, in my opinion, it was very quiet, would be Calvin Heimberg. And maybe that's because I know that there was some...
Calvin doesn't talk.
No,
he doesn't really do social media.
I know there was some conversation and some courting and some speculation that was just wildly thrown around a lot.
I heard a lot.
Then
I heard a lot of Calvin to DD. That's what a lot of people on the internet were saying, that he was actually in Emporia at one point in the offseason. I don't know what that was for, but there was talks that he was working with DD and they might strike up an agreement.
So I guess to finish that thought, though, is I didn't have anything definitive until I randomly watched the
Innova 2020
Star Team release today. And it had Calvin in it. I was like, okay, like, let's be like, there's a lot of other announcements or proclamations that have been made, and I feel like that one was, and maybe they're trying to play it a little like, oh yeah, there was never a doubt for us. We knew all along this. We didn't need to make a big proclamation that Calvin was with us
He's
again.
been on the team and he hasn't left the team.
Exactly. So I'm sure there could be that philosophy behind it as well. But knowing a little bit more from behind the scenes, I guess I'll say, that's how I was confirmed or found out he is, in fact, with the Innova Star team. So congratulations to him, and obviously a solid retention as we go into next year. Dustin Keegan, that was, like we said, I know, moving to Discmania. And then we talked, we again very quickly glossed over it, that Dana had mentioned that he's
kicked
withdrawn.
off Team Discmania.
He kicked himself off Team Discmania. That's when you know you're having a bad year. Like,
you just
oh, God.
boot yourself.
But in all seriousness, Discmania or Dana stepping aside, as he said, so somebody else could have possibly a team spot.
Someone asked about Calvin and Madison. I have no clue about the relationship status. I think they're really good friends.
Can they make a jump together, like jump rope?
Like bestest buddies. But I do know.
No, you don't.
That no, I do know
No, you
this.
don't.
I'm 100% sure about this fact. SmashBoxxTV has a wonderful Madison Walker highlight video that was just released yesterday.
No, you didn't.
In the 2019 highlight series, it's Madison's turn. So go out there and take a look at that. Watch. Everybody loves to watch Madison play disc golf, and she had some really good events. No, I'm sorry. Madison is a joy to be around. She's easy on the eyes, and she's got this infectious smile. I'm sorry, everyone likes to watch Madison play. You can't.
You
tell
clearly
me no.
don't get out enough. You're not on the road. You don't put up with her like I do. In fact, my 11-year-old sent her a very nasty direct message on Instagram just the other day.
That's awkward.
Yeah, she did. And Madison's like, she is definitely your kid, with the way that message came through. We were trying to help out Madison, do her a little favor, and I got my daughter involved to give her some of the business. So it was.
But anyway, go check out.
All right, she's all right.
Go check out the SmashBoxxTV highlight video of Madison Walker. It's a lot of fun.
Also worth noting, and I saw them on the board earlier. I saw him on the board. Jordan Castro, I saw made an announcement that him and Terry Roethlisberger are already out in Phoenix. They're playing some golf. Of course, they're taking in. I wish I don't know if he's still on the board. If he is, I'd love to hear if he has anything to chime in about in terms of what the course changes are, and if he feels like it's that much harder, or if they've tightened things up, or what the major or maybe what his feelings are about it. But I saw that they're out in Arizona, and we talked about that earlier, just meaning that Terry said he
7
too was taking to the touring full time.
7 new Mandos apparently at Vista, and I believe Jordan had said something along the lines of they're very good.
Okay.
And they are for safety reasons
Mm-hmm.
primarily, but that it probably only really adds maybe 2 strokes to the course.
Mm.
So, but the 2 strokes is significant.
Yeah, and depending on who you are, it may or may
don't think
not
it was-
add those 2 strokes.
It could be more. I don't think it was Jordan that said the 2 strokes. I think it was somebody else on a board that had said that. So, interesting. I will be curious to see how Vista is different this year.
And I think I also saw.
No, you didn't?
Fountain Hills may be getting some new tee pads, I think is what I saw on the Facebooks today.
No. I
Yeah,
love
I
the
saw
big
them.
round tee pads.
They still might be big and round. I think they're just getting some more or new ones, additional ones. I don't know. I saw it on the Facebooks.
They should have
of course
a
I believe
floating
it.
tee pad in that.
Asked earlier, and I'm sorry we glossed over it twice. Someone did ask. Drew Gibson released a video today on Drew Gibson's new channel.
A very good video. I enjoyed it. I thought it was perfect for Drew Gibson. I think that I know I was very harsh about his logo when he came out. I said I thought he
sounds like you're just sucking up now.
Not at all. I think that the logo looks better than whatever he released last time. That the logo, when it's black and white, I think he had some red thing on it before that I didn't like. It was just a lot of different fonts. I will say that I am more of a fan of the logo that is in this video than I was when he first released it. I really enjoyed the video, and I thought it was well done.
I agree. I thought it was great. It was released on his YouTube channel today, and someone had asked, what kind of year is he going to have now that he's got a mixed bag? And he's out there. He's was shown throwing some Discraft putters. He's there's going to be a release of a new Legacy disc, Signature Series Legacy disc for him this
Phantom
weekend.
something or other, I think.
Clearly he's going with that whole mixed bag concept. What's that going to mean for his game? As really him and Nico are the two. I mean, Nico has had a mixed bag or an open bag off and on for a decade now. He's had a few sponsors where he's been, specific.
But now
to.
he's locked down to West Side, and his Long Bowman, I believe, and the Audi. I'm going to screw both those names up, but I believe they're both his custom discs are going to be released very soon, is what I thought I heard.
Okay. Is Drew at an advantage? A huge advantage? A
Not
marginal
huge.
advantage?
Marginal. Minimal. In today's manufacturing and disc golf scene, virtually every sponsor has what you need to compete.
Ooh.
We've said this for years now. There's not, I love the guys at Legacy, but they're the one manufacturer that I could say that someone could say, well, if I just threw Legacy, there might be some holes in my bag.
A few minor gaps, sure.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But virtually everybody else has most discs covered, no matter what you want. So if I were to say I'm only going to throw Discraft, Innova, DD, Prodigy, I guess you could probably say that about maybe an MVP too. That maybe, but even MVP has it's like 3 different lines, and
They have like 70 molds.
and 70 molds. So I don't necessarily know if there's a hole in MVP's bag at all. You're not missing anything with any sponsor, period. So I don't think his advantage is anything more than slight, and I'll give him slight only because he gets to pick what he wants to throw.
Sure.
If there's something he loves or just happens to feel really confident in, it doesn't matter. He can grab it. So I think that could help him a really little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm interested to see just how mixed his bag is. And the follow-up to that is there any pressure that he'll either admit to or not? Is there any pressure to keep it diverse? What happens when he's 6 months in and he's like, man, I'm really finding that I love. I have a 90. I have 90% legacy in here, which obviously the legacy guys would love. Understandable. But what happens when he says, "Well, I've got 90% legacy in here"? Is that a big deal? Does that matter? Will anyone else be mad about that? Will there be any pressures for him to feel like he needs to keep it diversified? That would be my one question for him on that. But it'll be exciting to see how he performs this year. Clearly, to steal Discraft's or Macbeth's phrase, hashtag making moves. He's clearly doing some significant things here in the offseason. So he's probably got a little bit of rejuvenation, excitement, anticipation, maybe more than the previous years because of all these exciting things going on for him. So we shall see. And Makers is saying, I think it's more mental for Drew that he can do anything with anything. Yeah,
Yep.
He's another one of those talented players that has the skill sets. It's just a matter of keeping it all mentally together, and not just keeping it together, but then having that consistency. We all know anyone rated over 1,000 practically probably has the skills to win at any given tournament. The problem is they need to display those skills for like 52 or 53 or 54 out of 54 holes at that high level, not just 27 of them.
What's so hard about that?
Glenn asks, speaking of skills and displaying them, Glenn says we need a Terry blooper reel. We'd show you one if it existed. I mean, you think I make mistakes?
I
can't even say that with a
I
straight
truly
face.
wish I would keep some of your stand-up interviews where we have to restart like 2 or 3 times because you mess up an intro. That's if Terry's going to mess something up, it's going to be the intro to introducing something, and it's usually not when we go live. Clearly, like
it's going to say my canned stuff is where I do
yeah,
the worst.
that's what I'm saying. Your canned stuff, like we used to do for a few events, we would get to the course nice and early. We'd maybe do an interview with a player where we talk about maybe what was in their bag or what they were going to throw that round. And so Terry would, count me down. He'd give me the 5, 4, 3, 2, and then give me the finger 1. And he would go off. And inevitably, it was like 2 or 3 times he'd just mess up words or he'd say something that just didn't really have a trail and he'd have to restart. And those are really the bloopers that he has. He doesn't. If he's live in front of the camera and going with an interview, you're usually I don't want to say flawless, but
no.
But you are very well done. It is your canned stuff where you have to stand up there and spew, 30 seconds of intro, and you want to nail it.
Yeah.
And that's where you mess up and have to redo it
I'll
and
forget
redo
something or I a lot of credit.
Call an event by the wrong name.
Yeah. I give a lot of credit. Many years ago when we were volunteering with Disc Golf Planet, I was at the USDGC. We needed to do some kind of introduction for something, and I was with Terry Roddy, who films for PGA Golf. He was one of the backbones to Disc Golf Planet TV many, many years ago. Now we're talking probably 2008, 2010, somewhere in that time frame. And we went out onto the course, and it was a day or two before the event, and we needed to get some kind of introduction. I swear I did 40 takes, and I still don't think it was that good. And I kept forgetting one component. It was like I had 3 points to hit on. I had to, open with this and end with that. I screwed it up so many times. To this day, I'm embarrassed of how poorly
Terry Roddy still hates you for that.
He should, because that was it was terrible, and it's so frustrating because, as you were saying, I am very comfortable to think on my feet and to go live with an interview. And there might be an interview where I maybe don't make hardly really any mistake for a full 5-minute interview of having a conversation with someone, but say, hey, we need you to focus on reading this piece. Well, it's never read. It's not like it ever gets written for me, but we need something that's 10 or 20 or 30 seconds long and hit on these 6 points. It might take me 9 takes. I hate it. You would think. I think about this a lot now that
I'm sorry.
My children have gotten me a little bit sucked into The Masked Singer. I don't watch a lot of television, but that's the one thing that keeps appearing. And then I'm watching Nick Cannon. And then there's always these feelings about Nick Cannon and Eminem and Nick Cannon and Mariah Carey and Nick Cannon and his career or not, all that, whatever. I want to know, and here's why I want to get to a live show of sorts.
It's all scripted.
And find out what percentage is scripted.
Like 99%.
99% of what he's saying, is that all right on a teleprompter for him? How?
I'm sure there's
Dare I say, how easy?
I'm sure there's some interaction, some ad-libbing that maybe, something happens with the Masked Singer. We'll just use that as an example. Like, hey, they trip and fall in the middle of their song. Maybe he riffs on that.
Yeah, sure, of course.
But ultimately, a lot of that stuff is just scripted. Like a huge portion of it.
I want to know, I really want to see word for word exactly what portion of that is for a host. And I always think from a hosting perspective, I know judges and a lot of those shows, for the most part are pretty authentic or original. I would love to see exactly what is scripted for a host. And I guess I will segue randomly over to quickly. I've had on in the background a few times while I've been editing lately some of the behind the scenes for specifically Saturday Night Live. And if you're at all a fan, and whether you're an old fan or a new fan, it doesn't matter. And maybe this only excites me mildly because of everything I just said, and we have a little bit of this now production background. It's really interesting. There was this entire 5 or 8 minute segment on the cue cards, the cue cards, the cue card department, the cue card people, the guy that's been ahead of cue cards for the last 28 or 48 years or 38 years. The fact that they go through roughly 1,000 cue cards, when literally cue cards are getting switched up moments before they sometimes even go to a skit. It was a really interesting behind the scenes. And then there's, behind the scenes with the music booker agent person, and behind the scenes with makeup, and so on and so forth. All these different components of the show where there's anywhere from a 3 to 10 minute segment of a behind the scenes, and they're really well put together and they're great. And I don't know. I'll use the example of the cue cards. I found it really intriguing to sit and watch.
No, it's kind of fascinating.
The work that goes behind just the cue cards of Saturday Night Live every single week. It's incredible. It really is. I've seen that stage. What is that? 8H, I think, in New York. Pretty cool. All right. That's pretty random. I know I just kind of went off on a random tangent.
Oh, gosh, I almost forgot.
Uh-oh, we got a giveaway?
We need to do a giveaway.
Gotta get a giveaway. It's the most exciting part of our show.
It really
nobody gives a crap about what we're talking about. They're just like, did I win a disc this week or not? Shut up, you two.
Seriously, guys, you guys have been chatting for so long. Just tell me if I won.
Right. Well, Johnny is going to go check that out. I don't know. I've got some random stuff that's sitting here. I don't know if I don't think this has been accounted for in any way, so we could probably give it away. We'll find you something. I've got some shirts.
We're giving away, for sure, one of these pairs of sunglasses. It's going with whatever is shipped. You are going to win this yellow pair. Still has the sticker on the lens.
The non-authentic
Nike
Nikes
sunglasses from the late 90s. This is
probably 98 or 99.
Yeah.
Spring break. Wild and Crazy. Johnny and Terry. All right, and then I'll find something else to give away along with it.
Well, yeah, that's just,
of course,
that's extra.
I do want to also give a quick shout out. I know it's a couple weeks away, but I'm going to talk about it now. I did finalize working with Innova Disc Golf. I know we were just talking about them a few minutes ago. They are, in fact, additionally supporting my trip to Thailand and to Taiwan. Now, they are already sponsoring. I want to make this very clear. They are already sponsoring both of those events, both the Samui Swine Classic as well as the Asia Open. And then, so they're sponsoring the events directly. And then they're also working with me to help me, along with the sponsorship for some of the media coverage that goes along with that. So you will see some additional posts from me on that, and thanks and recognition to them. And I truly, truly appreciate them being willing to do just that, to sponsor both the event and to work with me to support my coverage. And along with that, you're going to see some Disc Golf Guy discs produced from their fundraiser program that I will then be able to sell and make available to people. I'll be giving some away too. I'm excited about.
Tell anybody, but if you go out to SmashBoxx.tv, we have a brand new website.
No way.
And there's a store on there. Now, granted, the store isn't full. We've not put a lot of stuff in there. I think there's one set of our blue polos that I don't even know if they currently, I need to look at it because I haven't gone through the inventory that I have of them, so I don't know if the stock is right. And I honestly am not even, it was just put in, I believe, today. Shout out to Tony Boyko, who migrated the site over, so I need to just finalize some things to make sure that the cart is working, but it is out there for you at SmashBoxx
So
TV.
you're saying they could go test the shopping cart?
Please don't test the shopping cart. I will test the shopping cart.
I'd like it better if they did.
No, I'm hoping by the time people hear this if you're not live, on Friday when this gets released, everything is cleaned up and cleared up and ready to go, but it's out there. So now we need to start working on filling that store. But until we fill the store, we have a Patreon giveaway.
Yes, we do.
Currently, we have 195 patrons.
I feel like it's decreased.
I think it did because with the new website update, I believe the other way to enter, I think it went away. I need to get that I need to get that fixed and put back on the website, the weekly giveaways. So the extra people that normally sign up every week, not there.
Oh, ouch.
So it is less than we've had in the past.
We're going to have to get back at it.
We got to get back at it, people. And remember, if you want to support SmashBoxx TV, you can go to patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Don't let me dig in your pockets. Just give us the $1, and we will turn around and turn that $1 into high-quality, top-of-the-line, every Tuesday content that you can only find here. Nowhere else do you hear about Eagles wings. Nowhere else do you hear about Paul Ulibarri's health conditions. Nowhere else do you hear about the stupid things Terry and I say.
Yeah.
Only here.
Uh-huh.
So please, we're literally begging you for dollars. That's it. I mean, if I could get down on my hands and knees, I would, and beg you for money. That
sounds good.
Sounds
2020 is off to a great start.
Begging for cash.
We are nailing it.
Awesome. All right. Good to know. Good to know.
Also, as always, if somehow there's something that I am not caught up with in terms of Terry's personal shipping and fulfillment department, do not hesitate. You are not bothering me. You are not offending me.
I have one I need to send you.
Do not hesitate to shoot me a message, Facebook or email. Facebook's great. Shoot me a message and say, hey, I won something on such and such date. Check it. Here's my reference point, whatever. Let me make sure to get it out to you. There is a chance that you don't have something that you should have, and we don't want that to happen. So.
Correct. So 195 people. Terry, what number do we need to generate in order to give away this wonderful, wonderful prize?
Let's go with I don't know. Let's go with the first one. First podcast of the year.
All right, literally we're going to generate the first number, and I'm going to go to my list and tell you what it is. That first number is 76.
Oh, right. And the real question is, how in the world did you sort them tonight?
They were just imported, so they're sorted by first name. It is JC17393. I don't know who that is, but congratulations. I'm going to guess that is your PDGA number.
All right, congratulations. I believe that's going to be Josh Connell.
Josh Connell, it is. I see that based on his email address. J. Connell.
Or he's really throwing us off by going with Josh Connell.
So congratulations, Josh Connell. I will send the email out to you, or actually probably Terry will when I send him your information. We'll get you that. You are now the proud owner of a pair of Nike in quotes.
Folkleys, as they're saying.
Sunglasses.
Fikeys? Fake Nikes?
Fake Nikes. Yeah, you're going to love these. Don't think I don't have more. That was just the yellow pair. This is the blue pair, and this is the pair I actually wore for.
Wait, let's double check. I don't like these because if I like these,
All right,
I
go
might
for
have
it.
to keep them.
Yeah, I mean, if you love those, you're welcome to have
They are
them.
really tight.
Well, because you have a
I've got a
giant
fat
head.
head.
You have the biggest, fattest
I mean, even
head.
before I was overweight, when I was 5, I already think I had a big head.
You do. You've always had a large head.
Yeah. I mean, I could wear them, but they're tight. They would hurt after a while, probably. Oh, that's too bad.
This is the pair that I wore for a while, so that's why there's no sticker on the lens, because I had to peel it off to see. The other one's still the sticker on the lens, so those are brand new. 25 years ago.
Yeah. Good night, Glenn. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us here tonight. Glenn reached out to me recently, had some questions. Glenn is calling it. I'm going to call you out, Glenn, for a moment. Glenn was calling it. He said he's seen a little bit more of Luca practicing, playing.
Cool.
Coming in from Norway and having her presence. She's transitioned teams from being on Team Discmania to being with Team Prodigy. And he said, looks like she's good. Is there any coverage of her? I said, heck yeah. The disc golf guys got it. FPO coverage. She was featured during the Toonie coverage. I think I had all 3 rounds. She was in it.
Yeah, she had a rough round, didn't she?
She did have a rough final round, but I got coverage with her. And then also she was featured on the first round of my coverage of the PCS Open when I was in Norway. So, of course, I got you covered. I don't think I have any rounds of Evelina or Henna. And this year they were most available, but yet I was doing other roles. So this would have been my best year. This 2019 would have been, but we'll hopefully change that in 2020. Other than that, if you're looking for FPO coverage, I probably have it somewhere of someone every round. Speaking of that, tomorrow, I didn't even try to segue this. Tomorrow, Wednesday, today, whatever you want to call it, FPO coverage of South Florida Open. That will wrap up the 4th and final round of coverage that I've had. It will be from the first round of the tournament where I covered Ellen Widboom, Lindsay Fish, and Esther Schultz. And you'll see that on my Disc Golf Guy channel tomorrow. So thank you guys. SFO. Yes, South Florida Open or San Francisco, but South Florida Open. All right, guys. Do we have anything else that we need to cover here tonight? I feel like as soon as we do, I'm going to think, oh, my gosh, I had like 6 more things.
Thank you, Jeffrey Strunk, for ordering a polo shirt. It's much appreciated. I will make sure you get that. I'll take a look.
Assuming we have one.
I will take a double check that I haven't sold hardly any of them. I think I sold literally one of them. So I believe I have a variety of the sizes. I will double check that whatever size you ordered, we have, and we'll the extra large. I'm sure we do have an extra large. I'll get that out to you. Or maybe I'll just give it. I'll send it with Terry. He's the shipper guy, and we'll make sure that you get that. So thank you very much for that. For our very first.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to include a SmashBoxxTV Mini free of
You're
charge.
Not getting a pair of sunglasses though. Sorry.
No, you'll get a SmashBoxxTV Mini.
So thank you very much for the very first order out of our store. Apparently it does work.
We should have ran a contest. You won, Jeffrey. You won.
Yeah, you won. Thank you. You won the contest.
All right, we can wrap things up. I was thinking we could go off on a tangent about.
I'll talk
things.
about Maker's Mark. I'll talk about Skip Ace next week.
Okay, yes, Skip Ace next week. And I see a whole chat conversation going up about a Southeast Asia tour in 2021. I'm excited to talk to those guys. It's that time of night or morning for them to have that conversation. Super excited. Lots of good things going on. Coverage is going to start unfolding. I still have good stuff from last year. Bonus coverage, interviews. It's going to all continue to unfold over the next 2 months. It's all there. And Smashbox is back on track. Oh, Tuesday nights. All right, we're going to call it, folks. It's been awesome. Thank you for joining us on our typical random conversation piece stuff things after show. For Johnny V.
Star Wars was meh.
Yeah, I agree. Just kidding. That's just what I heard. Everybody else said it was meh. So I'll go with that. For Johnny V and myself, this has been SmashBoxx TV's podcast 279 After Show. We thank you. We love you. We love our Patreon supporters even more, and people that buy stuff on the store. We love you guys, Jeffrey, and then some. We'll see you next week for episode 280. You step inside the Smashbox.